Pirates Fire Dragon Roar Chapter 561 to 580. Chapter 561 Shirahoshi. Boom. The huge soles of the feet were heavily chopped on the ground, and the solid ground could not withstand the weight and sank directly, and huge footprints appeared on the square. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Oh, this is Dragon Palace. On the shoulders of the bald sea god, Vlad looked at the huge building close at hand with admiration in his eyes. It was indeed the Dragon Palace Castle and the Palace of Fishman Island. It was a beautiful place. Located on the top floor of Fishman Island, for Fishman Island in the deep sea, the sunlight delivered by Sun Tree Eve is an indispensable thing. The higher the upper layer, the brighter the sun is. Naturally, the higher the status, as the king of the Fishman Kingdom, the Palace of King Neptune is of course the highest point of Fishman Island. Like other places on Fishman Island, this palace is also made of shells, corals and the like, with a huge palace surrounded by a dragon-like thing. This is the Dragon Palace. In the square outside the Dragon Palace city, the royal family of the Dragon Palace Kingdom was already in full battle. Headed by King Neptune, the great knight of the sea, his 3 sons, Shark Star, Emperor Star, Roller Star, and all the officials of Dragon Palace City headed by the Left Minister and the Right Minister, all the high-level officials of Dragon Palace City have lined up in the square. Rad's arrival is prepared to extend the most sincere welcome. What a passion! Vlad smiled and jumped directly off the shoulders of the bald sea god carrying Vanderdecken, and landed gently on the ground. Such a height did not cause any cracks on the ground at all. King Neptune. Welcome to Dragon Palace, Mr. Vlad. Neptune's face was full of smiles. The sumptuous banquet is ready. Your companion is waiting for you inside. Really? Vlad smiled. That's really good. This guy. Then, King Neptune saw Vanderdecken being held by Vlad, and his eyes widened. This guy is. Oh, this guy. Vlad mentioned Vanderdecken X with a smile. It's that Vanderdecken X from the Flying Pirates. It didn't take much effort. This guy is really weak. Quote. Tears flowed from the eyes of King Neptune, the king of this country, and now he is crying. Finally, the 8-year period, finally ended. Neptune bowed sharply to Vlad. Really, thank you so much. Mr. Vlad. Thanks. Vlad whispered, have I done such a great thing? Accept it with confidence, Mr. Vlad. Jinbei stood behind Vlad. You really helped Neptune. As a father, because of some abnormal reason, the woman I love has been locked in a tower since the age of 6. I have never been out for 8 years, not even to visit the grave of my mother. If you have done it, how much self-blame would you have as a father for such an encounter? How uncomfortable would it be? Vlad, that really helped a lot. Really? Vlad smiled. Since you thank me so much, let's make the banquet more lively. Honored. Neptune raised his head and smiled, to the top. Shark Star. Neptune turned his head and looked at his son, who was also tearful, and said loudly, go and get Shirahoshi to come too. Already, there is no need to stay in the hard shell tower. Tonight, let's have the happiest banquet. Yes, father. Oh, Miss Leah, and, Mrs. Shirley, you are here too. Hi, Mr. Vlad. The luxurious banquet hall. Vlad sat next to Neptune and Jinbei, and saw the mermaid girl Leah and the mermaid prophet Mrs. Shirley sitting beside them. He greeted enthusiastically, and Miss Leah, who was equally enthusiastic, responded immediately. Because they are friends of Mr. Vlad, we invited them back together. Neptune smiled. What a good man. King Neptune, Paso is there. It was time to express my gratitude, and then I was a little surprised to see the dead otaku crew member who never wanted to go out. He was accompanied by several scientists in white lab coats and a gorilla who was eating bananas. Well, I didn't want to come out. The chef sitting next to him smiled, but I think it's too wasteful to come to Fishman Island once and let Paso spend it in the experiment again. It's too wasteful. Ha, what a caring and good partner. Vlad smiled. So, how about today's trip to Fishman Island? What a welcoming and beautiful place. Quote. The samurai named Sakata said immediately, Captain, I suggest that we stay here for 2 years. No, 20 years. Quote. Vlad was speechless. Can you please wipe off the lipstick on your face before talking to me? Quote. The swordsman with 2 swords covered his face ashamed and slowly lay down on the table. The mermaid ladies are really enthusiastic. As the lecherous warrior said. Maid chuckled, it's a beautiful place, worthy of the legendary Fishman Island. I bought a lot of things. Miss Musician handed Vlad something like a gift. Captain, this is yours. Yeah, Tilda. Vlad twitched the corner of his mouth and shook the shell hairpin in his hand. Thank you. I'll try to use it. Ha 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 ha. Jinbei, who was sitting next to Vlad, laughed. What a wonderful pirate group, Mr. Vlad. Of course. Vlad nodded. Father. The voices of some weak girls came from one side, and behind the shark star, who was previously sent by Neptune to call people, followed by an unusually huge mermaid girl. The same size as a giant, with a soft and weak appearance, pink hair, with a bun on his head, fixed with a somewhat funny fish-shaped hair accessory, pink fish tail, and his age seems to be only a 10-year-old. The appearance of a young girl. This is the first time this girl has stepped out of the hard shell tower in 8 years. Oh hoo. Vlad couldn't help making such a cry. This is. On the other side, Sakata Samurai widened his eyes. Princess Mermaid. This man has never been so excited in his life. It's unbelievably beautiful. The chef shook his head and said so. Indeed. Luo, who was sitting next to the chef, nodded in agreement. On the other side, monkeys and bears are eating and drinking, and for animals, human aesthetics are of course incomprehensible. Obviously only a 14-year-old girl, but she has amazing beauty. Among the beauties Vlad has seen in this life, this girl can undoubtedly be at the top, and the only ones who can be compared with her are the Pirate Queen and the others. That old bastard from the New World, right? Is this Princess Shirahoshi? Vlad smiled. Should it be said that she is a mermaid princess? Come on, Shirahoshi, this is Mr. Vlad who solved Vanderdecken. Neptune smiled. It's our great benefactor. Hiding behind his brother, Shirahoshi, who was a little scared, looked at Vlad with a timid look. Vlad, Lord Vlad, thank you you. With a scream, the girl has retracted behind her brother. Of course, with her size, she can't be hidden. Ha, what a lovely girl. Vlad smiled. Then everyone is here too. King Neptune laughed. It's a banquet. Chapter 562 Dragon head flags planted all over Fishman Island. Hiccup tilde. Satisfied with food and drink, Vlad burped heavily. His alcohol intake was not very good, let alone a meal at noon, and his stomach was a little uncomfortable, so now he is sitting in the Dragon Palace on the balcony of the city, looking up at the starry sky. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Ha, it's amazing. Vlad smiled. This world. It is indeed very magical. The Sun Tree Eve, which extends from the top of Fishman Island to the sea surface, can lead the sunlight down from the sea surface, turning the dark Fishman Island into a sun-filled place just like the sea surface. Paradise, this is how the underwater paradise came to be. Since sunlight can, of course, starlight is no exception. What's wrong? Vlad turned his head and whispered, Princess Shirahoshi. You. Shirahoshi, who was hiding behind the balcony door, hurriedly shrank his head back, looking very cowed. Ha, really? Vlad didn't care either. The girl seemed very timid, but that's not surprising. After all, being in a closed room for 8 years would be like this for a 14-year-old girl. Personality is really normal. That. A long time, Shirahoshi's huge head leaned out from behind the door again. Master Vlad. Well, What? Princess Shirahoshi. Vlad didn't look back and replied with a smile, what's the matter? Quote. You. The lovely Princess Shirahoshi covered her face and ran away. Hey, am I so scary? Shirahoshi's reaction made Vlad a little suspicious of life. Is he just not popular with his little sister? Ha ha ha, sorry, Mr. Vlad. With the smell of alcohol all over his body, Neptune laughed and came to the balcony. Shirahoshi has never seen any outsiders, so he is a little afraid of life. Nothing. Vlad shook his head. What a lovely little girl. If I had a daughter, I would like her to be like Princess Shirahoshi. Ha ha ha, does Mr. Vlad actually think about such a thing? Neptune looked a little surprised. The sex that reproduces offspring is the memory imprinted in the deepest part of human genes. Vlad turned back and smiled. It's not a strange thing, is it? Yes. Neptune was going to have a bubble wrapped around it, which could make him float in the air and move. The man sat down beside Vlad with a twist of his tail, smiling, to be with someone you love, to be together. There is nothing more beautiful than building a home. Quote. Watching the children being born one by one. Neptune seems to be caught in the memory, watching them grow up little by little. I will feel that I am the happiest person in the world. So, King Neptune, such a happy life is now beginning to be threatened. Vlad smiled. Would you like to put up my flag? Jinbei told me just now that you have invited him to join the Fire Dragon Pirates. Neptune didn't answer Vlad's words, and asked softly. Well, that's right. Vlad nodded, which was not something worth hiding in itself, but he said he would join only if Fishman Island was willing to accept our shelter. That is, King Neptune. It's all about your attitude now. Ha ha ha, that Jinbei guy. King Neptune shook his head and said with a smile, you really can shirk responsibility. He believes in you. Vlad replied. Yeah, Jinbei believes in me, all the people on this island believe in me. King Neptune looked a little embarrassed. What is a king? The one who bears everything is the king. Everyone believes in him. Naturally, he will respond to everyone's expectations. Everyone. Ha. Vlad smiled. That's not necessarily true. Ah, maybe. King Neptune only pondered, and suddenly knew what Vlad was referring to. Indeed, not everyone on this island believed him. So, Mr. Vlad, what you told Jinbei earlier. King Neptune said solemnly, what is the matter that needs to be discussed with me personally? Hiccup tilde this, this may be the biggest difference between us. Vlad hiccuped, glanced at Neptune lightly, and smiled, maybe it will be the trigger for the war between us. Neat. Neptune's heart froze. The prophecy that Mrs. Shiarly told him about the fire dragon Vlad had already surfaced in his heart. Mrs. Shiarly's prophecy was never wrong, that is to say, this time it will really happen. Please tell me. Neptune said solemnly. The harmonious atmosphere between the two was swept away. Don't be afraid, Mr. Neptune, I still have a good impression of you. Vlad smiled, I won't hurt you, and I'm not a crazy guy. I just need to get what I want. What I said about war is not that I want to fight you, but if you do this, you will definitely go to war with us, that's what it means. Then, Mr. Vlad. Neptune's palms were sweating, and he somewhat understood what Vlad had to say. Let Princess Shirahoshi come to my ship. Vlad said this, his tone was a little light because of alcohol, but it made Neptune's heart sink into the abyss instantly. Ha ha ha, are you kidding me? Mr. Vlad. Neptune suddenly laughed. Shirahoshi is just a weak mermaid, not the least bit helpful for your voyage, even if she wants to get married, she is too young. Don't play stupid, King Neptune. Vlad breathed a sigh of relief, maybe you don't know. Above the blue sea, there is such a place, at an altitude of 10,000 meters above the sea, like a place like Fishman Island. It is called Sky Island, and there is a stone on Sky Island, which is called the Stone of Historical Text by the world. Quote. Quote. Neptune was startled. One thing was recorded on it, a very startling thing. Vlad smiled. It says above, below Mariajoy, 10,000 meters from the sea, there is a Fishman Island. On Fishman Island, there is a secret hidden, a secret that can shake the stability of the world. Quote. Tell me, King Neptune, what is this secret? Vlad smiled. Quote. Quote. Neptune was speechless. The secret is that on Fishman Island, one of the legendary 3 weapons that can destroy the world, Sea King, Poseidon, slumbers. Vlad chuckled, and this Sea King's body is only produced once every few hundred years and has special powers. Princess Mermaid, right? That is, Princess Shirahoshi. Crush. Neptune stood up suddenly, his face extremely gloomy. Oh, look, I'll just say it. Vlad spread his hands and looked helpless. Even if we don't want to go to war, you have to go to war with us. Nipton. The deep man's voice came from behind, and the seaman Jinbei gently took the door and came to the balcony. Oh, Jinbei, finally willing to show up. Vlad greeted warmly. Mr. Vlad, is your purpose the Princess Shirahoshi? Jinbei said so. Well, the main purpose is indeed Shirahoshi. Vlad nodded, scratching his head in annoyance. You understand, right? As long as you know this, how can you be calm in your heart? Quote. Quote. Jinbei put his arms around his chest and lowered his eyebrows. Of course, he understood that even if Vlad himself had no interest in Shirahoshi, he would never tolerate someone else getting Shirahoshi. This is really the most troublesome situation. Ah, don't worry, Jinbei. Vlad waved his hand. I'm only interested in Princess Shirahoshi, but I don't have any ill will towards Fishman Island. Others are kindly hosting a banquet for us. Of course I can't do anything to you, right? Don't worry, after getting Princess Shirahoshi it's okay if you don't agree to the other 2 things, we'll withdraw immediately. Shirahoshi. Neptune's tone was cold and stern. I can't give it to you. Shirahoshi, after all, is only 14 years old. That father would let his young daughter on the pirate ship. Look. Vlad spread his hands, but forget it, you can't stop it anyway. Well, if you're upset, you can beat me now, come on, I won't fight back. You. Neptune's hands trembled, and his fists subconsciously wanted to hit Vlad's head. Please wait. Jinbei suddenly said. Nipton, wait a minute. Jinbei. King Neptune was a little surprised. Stop. Jinbei looked at Vlad with a very serious expression. Stop it, Neptune, don't do this. What, Jinbei? Neptune whispered. What did you say? Maybe this is an opportunity. Jinbei said, it may not be unreasonable that Aquaman will be reincarnated into Shirahoshi. The world has ushered in unprecedented changes. The promised date 800 years ago, perhaps. Jinbei, what do you mean? Neptune wondered. Mr. Vlad, Fishman Island hopes to get your shelter. For this reason, our sun pirates can also join your flag. Jinbei said so. Jinbei. Neptune was amazed. So, for this, I hope you can promise me a condition. Jinbei said seriously. Conditions. Vlad raised his eyebrows. Tell me about it. You want to take Princess Shirahoshi. We want to keep Princess Shirahoshi, but, I don't think it's fair. Jinbei said, Princess Shirahoshi has to decide for herself. Oh. Vlad Vivi was surprised. Yes. Vlad nodded, I can promise. What? King Neptune was a little confused. Why? Shirahoshi can be stolen directly, but why agree to such a condition? Is it unfair from the beginning? Shirahoshi has only met Vlad once. How could he go with Vlad? After all, you are all willing to join my command. Why should I give you some benefits? Of course, under such conditions, I ask that Princess Shirahoshi and I first develop a relationship. Vlad smiled. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to force Princess Shirahoshi. I haven't done enough to force a 14-year-old little sister. 1 week, just 1 week. Vlad raised an index finger. If Princess Shirahoshi wants to go with me after a week, I'll take her away. What if she doesn't want to? King Neptune said solemnly. Then keep her on Fishman Island. Vlad stood up. That's it. Neptune nodded and said, Fishman Island will join the Fire Dragon pirates from today. At the same time, the bet will also take effect. Vlad turned his head to look at Jinbei. The Sun Pirates are also willing to join the Fire Dragon pirates. Jinbei took out a bottle of wine from his pocket and handed it to Vlad. Oh, join the wine. Vlad smiled and tapped lightly on the bottle with his left hand. The wine directly broke through the stopper, suspended in the air, and then divided into 3 groups and flew to Vlad, Nipton, and Jinbei. Please. 2. Vlad smiled, took a breath, the wine had entered his mouth, hiccuped tilde, and then burped again. Please. Please. Neptune and Jinbei swallowed the wine in front of them without any hesitation. Hey, it's all right now. Vlad smiled and clapped his hands, looking rather complacent. Captain Vlad, please keep your word. Jinbei said, if Princess Shirahoshi doesn't want to go with you. Don't worry, don't worry. Vlad staggered toward the balcony door. If Princess Shirahoshi doesn't want to come with me, I'll let her stay on Fishman Island, of course. Vlad put his hand on the doorknob and turned his head with a sly smile on his face. In that case I'll just take Fishman Island straight away. Jinbei and Neptune were a little confused. Ah. Laughing loudly, Fradragate of Opening walked out. Leave 2 people on the balcony. Jinbei. King Neptune is still a little confused. Don't worry, Neptune. Jinbei waved his hand and said solemnly, like I said, the reincarnation of Aquaman is no accident, the sea is boiling, the heroes are all calling for answers from the world. Mr. Vlad, who has the qualification to become a king, he will agree this bet is naturally because he is sure that Princess Shirahoshi will go with him, so of course we have no need to stop it. It is the choice of the times. Damn. Neptune slammed a heavy punch on the railing, instantly smashing the sturdy railing. Why Shirahoshi is Aquaman? Existence must have his necessity. Jinbei said so. The promise made by the mermaid princess and Joey Boye 800 years ago may be fulfilled in this era. That night, dragon-headed skull flags were planted all over Fishman Island. Chapter 563 Joey Boy's Apology Letter. The first day of the appointment. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Shirahoshi, come out and play. It was still very early, outside the hard shell tower. Vlad was already standing outside shouting, although Vanderdecken had been killed by Vlad, and even the fruit power had been drawn out by Vlad. After making a ring and wearing it on his hand, the crisis for Shirahoshi has been completely lifted, and he can move out of the hard shell tower. However, Shirahoshi, who has lived in this place for 8 years, has already developed a feeling for this place that has protected him for 8 years. With a deep sense of nostalgia, I still decided to live here. Squeak. Soon, the heavy iron door was gently pushed open a crack, and a huge head stuck out, looking at Vlad with fearful eyes. His voice was clear and weak. Lord Vlad. Yo, good morning, Princess Shirahoshi. Vlad greeted with a smile. Yes, what's the matter? Princess Shirahoshi looks timid. I'm looking for you to go out to play. Vlad walked to the front of the door and pushed it open. Shirahoshi, who was behind the door, shrank back timidly. Well, I haven't had breakfast yet. Shirahoshi glanced to one side and said, I won't go out to play. Hey, don't worry. Vlad smiled and pressed lightly on the stall on the ground. I'll take you to breakfast. Shirahoshi was stunned for a moment, and then his body suddenly swayed. The underground carpet was already suspended suddenly, carrying Vlad and Shirahoshi directly out of the hard shell tower, soaring into the sky. Fly. Shirahoshi opened his eyes, flying. How's it going? Vlad sat cross-legged on the ground. Shirahoshi, haven't you flown in the sky yet? The beautiful princess's head is frantic, and her face is full of excitement. This is of course She has been locked in one place since she was 6 years old, and she has never been out. It is normal to be full of curiosity about the outside world. Things are up. It's amazing, Boss Vlad. It's really flying. Ha, this is just the beginning. Vlad smiled. Let's go. Go get the tour guide first, and then we can go to breakfast. Yeah. Shirahoshi nodded heavily. HMPH, stupid Jinbei, who do you think Lao Su is? Could it be that Mr. Vlad, who has been taking care of his younger siblings professionally for more than 10 years, still can't deal with a little sister who has not been out for 8 years? Just wait, I will convince you of losing this time. All you can do now is just wait and see what happens. Another room in Dragon Palace City, Jinbei looked at the flying carpet flying past the window and said softly. Jinbei. Behind him, Neptune said in a low voice, I'm starting to worry about other things now. Amount. Dash 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 dash. How is it? How does it taste? Vlad was sitting on the flying carpet with a cup of ice cream in his hand, and it was a blessing to be able to eat ice cream early in the morning. Just like a little squirrel, Shirahoshi lowered his head and kept stuffing small balls into his mouth with a happy smile on his face. It's really delicious. Really, that family's dumplings are very popular on the island. Beside Vlad, the mermaid guide he specially hired, Miss Leia smiled. So, breakfast is over, where are we going next? Vlad smiled, turned his head and asked Shirahoshi. This. Shirahoshi flinched a little again, and whispered, Boss Vlad decides. Really? Vlad smiled, the corner of his mouth twitched. Then, let's go to the sea forest. The expression on Shirahoshi's face suddenly changed. Sea forest. Well. Vlad nodded and said casually, there is something I want to see in the sea forest. Sea forest. The expression on Shirahoshi's face was expectant. Well, let's go there. Okay, now that Her Royal Highness has made a decision. Vlad smiled, then aim at sea forest. Yeah. Shirahoshi was in high spirits. The flying carpet suddenly accelerated and flew in a certain direction. Below the flying carpet, on the top of the tall spurred house, a pirate flag fluttered in the wind, and Hoki's dragon head and skeleton were engraved on it. Pirates, territory. Sea forest, located in the seabed forest to the northeast of Fishman Street, is also known as the ship cemetery, because many shipwrecks in the sea are transported here along the flow of the tide. Because Sun Tree Eve transmits sunlight from the sea to Fishman Island, many beautiful corals grow here, and schools of fish and whales also feed here. It is also a very beautiful place. Yeah, this is the sea forest. The sea, Shirahoshi's eyes sparkled, looking at the place covered in bubbles in the distance. Well, that's it. Miss Mermaid Leia smiled and said, however, isn't Mr. Vlad an ability person? Can he use his ability even in the water? Well. Vlad, who was wrapped in a layer of bubbles, said casually, the seawater will only make the ability person lose physical strength, but it will not make the ability itself invalid. The same is true for Seastone. Oh. Leia seemed to understand something. PFF'd. With a soft sound, Fatian's blanket has broken through the bubble and officially entered the range of sea forest. Well, where is it? The bubbles on Vlad's body shattered, and he stood on the blanket and looked down at the sea forest, where? That is, when Vlad was patrolling around, Shirahoshi on the side let out a groan, and tears really fell from her eyes. Mom. Her eyes have been fixed on a building on the ground, with a pot-like structure on top, which looks very conspicuous. What's wrong, Shirahoshi? Vlad asked casually. That is. Shirahoshi wiped away his tears. That's my mother's grave. I've always wanted to come here. Really thank you, Boss Vlad. Is that Ogahime-sama's graveyard? Leia on the side was stunned. That's it. Vlad smiled, then go. Haven't you come to pay homage to Mom before? Shirahoshi, go now. Go and have a good talk with Mom. Yeah. The huge mermaid princess nodded heavily. Crack. With a light snap of his fingers, the flying carpet has drifted towards Shirahoshi's current grave. As for us, leave her alone. Vlad has transformed into a dragon man, holding the mermaid Leah in his arms, and flew towards the other side. Just so, I found something I was looking for. It didn't take long for Vlad to fall to the ground and regain his human form. In front of him was a huge stone. What is this? Miss Leah looked at this huge stone in amazement. This. Vlad smiled. It's a letter. A letter. Leah was a little confused. Yes, a letter. Vlad put his hand on the stone and sighed, a letter of apology. It was an apology letter from Joey Boye to the then mermaid princess 800 years ago. Letter of apology for failure to reach agreement. Chapter 564 The meaning of the pirate flag. The history hidden 800 years ago is always shrouded in a layer of fog. There are not many guys in the world who are interested in this history. Although Vlad doesn't care much, if he is on the way to One Piece, king of maybe it would be interesting to solve such a mystery during the voyage of the pirates, right? A letter of apology. Miss Leah blinked her big watery eyes. Yes, apology letter. Vlad's eyes focused on the historical text in front of him. When he couldn't read the historical text, he was only a little excited when he saw these stones inscribed with history. However, now, he was finally able to read the historical text. This kind of decryption-like feeling is really exciting. Apologize for what? Leah said softly, looking very curious. Of course she couldn't understand what was written on the historical text. 800 years ago, in that lost 100 years. Vlad said softly, there is a man named Joey Boy, who made an agreement with the mermaid princess at that time. Agreement? Miss Mermaid asked. What kind of agreement? Vlad smiled, maybe it's the agreement that the mermaids and the fishmons have been waiting for a long time. Miss Leah was a little stunned. The Oath boat, Noah, is still parked on Fishman Street. Vlad turned his head and said, 800 years ago, for some reason, the big ship that was supposed to sail to the blue sea has not set sail until now. The blue sky that the fishmons long for is still 10,000 miles away from here. Meters away. Huh. Miss Leah couldn't understand what Vlad was saying. Okay, let's go. I've finished watching what I should see. Vlad hugged Leah with a smile, turned his head and walked in the direction he came from before. Are you leaving? Leah wondered. Well, I've read everything written on it, well. Vlad smiled, it's not different from what I guessed. It's a touching, but sad agreement. Neat. Miss Fishman couldn't understand Vlad's sudden sentimentality. Now, Leah, you said. Vlad asked, is there any day when such a promise will come true? What is the agreement? Miss Mermaid said angrily, what are you asking in such a mindless way? The devil knows what that agreement is. It's not necessarily true. Vlad smiled, the promised ark might set sail in this era with the hopes of people from 800 years ago. Quote. Woohoo woohoo. Taking a few steps, the girl's low cry came from the front, passing around a few clusters of coral. Shirahoshi's huge body had been exposed, and she was sitting on the ground in front of her mother's grave. Tears, mouth seems to be saying something. Really? Vlad didn't step forward, gently put Leah on the ground, and sat cross-legged on the ground himself, smiling, let's not go there now, shall we? Well, Princess Shirahoshi is really pitiful. Leah said with some sympathy, I haven't even attended my mother's funeral. I've been locked up for 8 years. Presumably, I have a lot to say to Lord Otoji. Ogami. Vlad said with some emotion, it is said to be a great fishman. Yes, Lord Otahime is indeed a great person. Leah nodded frantically like a chicken pecking at rice. I was still a little girl at that time, but I still remember that she was a very kind adult, obviously the wife of the king, but it was still like the aunt next door. She often plays with us. You may not believe it. Although Lord Otahime is an adult, her body is very fragile, and she often bursts into tears. It's just a pity. Quote. Yeah. Vlad smiled. He knew that after 8 years, people who still make people smile knowingly just thinking about her, and then feel sympathy for her passing, such people must be great guy. The same goes for Princess Otahime, who is the hero of Fishman Island. But Vlad is more curious about observation hockey of Princess Otahime. It's a very interesting thing. He is obviously a weak guy, but observation hockey has been able to easily spy on people's hearts and easily feel the emotions of human hearts. Very powerful. Mrs. Sharley, who he had unilaterally announced to be part of the Fire Dragon Pirates, was also a user of observation hockey. After all, is prophecy a bit too buggy? Blue blue blue. Quote. At this time, in Vlad's pocket, the phone worm began to chirp frantically. Yeah, did something happen? Vlad took out a phone bug from his pocket in surprise, pressed it lightly on the case, and connected the call. Captain. The chef's low voice came from the opposite side, which was completely different from the usual calm and steady voice, as if suppressing his anger. What's the matter, chef? Vlad said softly, what's wrong? It sounds very upset. Captain, this time, it's not a joke. Chef said, the flag placed at the mouth of Fishman Island, our flag, was burned. Vlad's mouth gradually opened, and a bright smile appeared on his face. Really? Yes. The chef confirmed. Woo ha ha ha. This is really interesting. I will come back soon. Vlad hung up the phone, stood up, and put Miss Leia in his arms. Mr. Vlad, what's wrong? Leia looked surprised. Nothing. Vlad chuckled, it's just that some ignorant guys are declaring war on us. Declaring war? Lea's eyes widened. Yes. Vlad said casually, it seems that those idiots don't understand what the pirate flag means to pirates. They think they haven't done anything great, right? Pirate flag. The mermaid hesitated. The pirate flag is a symbol of faith. Vlad replied, dare to shoot at my flag, isn't that declaring war on us? Let's go. Miss Leia, I originally wanted to have fun with you, but now there seems to be no chance. Although I don't really want to bully the weak, this time, I'm not joking. Princess Shirahoshi, it's time to go back. For pirates, only the pirate flag is absolutely not allowed to be broken. This is the belief of manhood. Chapter 565 Fly. Fishman Street. Oh, is that him? I really can't see it. On the wide street, the densely packed Dragon Palace Kingdom guards have tightly sealed the street. On the periphery of the soldiers, are a group of residents of Fishman Island who are watching the fun and playing soy sauce. In the middle of all the guards, Vlad looked at a fishman lying on the street with a bruised face. Just before, this guy suddenly ran out and lit the pirate flag hanging here, which made Vlad feel surprised. He asked curiously, how dare a guy like this dare to attack us? He turned his head towards the man standing beside him. His current subordinate, Haisha Jinbei, said, Jinbei, why is Fishman so arrogant? Hey, it's too condescending, isn't it? At this point, I always thought that only the 4 emperors or marine would have the courage to fight with us. This kind of thing surprised me a bit. It's a misunderstanding, Captain Vlad. Jinbei said solemnly. Of course I know. Vlad waved his hand, looked at the pirate flag that had been burned in half, and sighed, I'm not stupid, of course I'm not stupid enough to think that you are doing things. Thanks for understanding, Captain Vlad. Jinbei breathed a sigh of relief. He had just announced to join the Dao Fire Dragon Pirates. This happened. He was also under great pressure. If the Fire Dragon Pirates were really angry, he decided to vent his anger on Fishman Island. The above words, there is no doubt that this island is finished. Nothing. Vlad smiled and shook his head, it's not a big deal, you are my subordinate, and King Neptune is my protection object, of course I will believe you. But, Fishman, who was slumped on the ground, and said solemnly, Jinbei, you understand, of course I won't pursue those who don't have malicious intentions, and if there are malicious ones, of course they will be excluded. Now. This. Jinbei nodded lightly, of course, as it should be. Very good. Vlad clapped his palms, this way there will be no conflict. So tell me, idiot. Vlad gently kicked the fishman underground, who told you to come? Bah, human, stop being self-righteous. Fishman has no sense of being captured at all. He has a blue nose and a swollen face, but he has an indescribable sense of pride, a sense of pride that doesn't know where it comes from. Noble Fishman never wanted your shelter. Take your banner back to me. Yeah, Tilda, you really have the backbone. Vlad raised his eyebrows. Fishman is really a backboned race. So, Captain, just destroy this island. Behind Vlad, Enel chuckled, is this a declaration of war? No matter what we do, we will be fine, right? Stop being silly, Enel. The maid let out a smoke ring softly and said solemnly, Fishman Island is already our ally. It's where we want to shelter. Cut. Enel turned his head in disgust. Don't mind it, King Neptune. The chef apologized to Neptune, who was sweating on his forehead. This guy just has a bad temper, but don't worry, he listens to the captain. Nothing. Neptune shook his head. That's the problem on our side. Looks like there are quite a few guys on this island who have an opinion on us. Vlad smiled. It's true that someone came to sabotage the day after the flag was put up. Don't think everyone will give in to you like Neptune and Jinbei. This one fishman had a frenzied smile on his face. Fishman's bones are much harder than you think. Cowardly and incompetent royals will succumb like humans, but we will never. Don't think you can get a foothold in this place. Quote. Is that so? Vlad smiled. I guess you know, Extreme Fishman. Then of course there's nothing to guess about, let's go. Vlad took the lead. Go to Fishman Street. Quote. What? Fishman on the ground looked surprised. There is no need to guess at all. Ryugu Castle on Fishman Island has a high reputation, and Neptune, the god of the sea, is respected by everyone. Such antisocial, extreme Fishman terrorists or of course it could only be from Fishman Street. What? King Neptune's eyes suddenly bulged, and he thought again of the prophecy that Mrs. Shirley told him before. Is it still going to come true? Fishman Street. Really, let me do you a favor today. Neptune. Vlad smiled, fix the Fishman Island tumor together. Quote. Neptune was silent. Although Fishman Street also belongs to Fishman Island, it is not under the jurisdiction of Ryugu Castle at all. The gangsters of the Fishman tribe gather there. Fishman Island is the most dangerous place. There is no place more than there. Master Vlad. Neptune was silent for a moment, then finally said, are you trying to destroy Fishman Street? Yeah, Tilda have this idea. Vlad had no head either, and the huge pirate ship had already landed in front of him. What? Vlad suddenly turned his head and smiled at King Neptune. Is this what Mrs. Shirley foresaw? Destroying Fishman Street. Quote. Exclamation mark. Neptune was taken aback. Hey, don't worry, Neptune. Vlad smiled and walked towards his big boat. I'm not someone who kills innocent people indiscriminately. When I say help you solve troubles, I will help you solve troubles. I won't go too far. The old man is going too. Jinbei opened his mouth and said with a firm look in his eyes. No problem. Vlad smiled and nodded. The flaming red ship rose into the sky and flew towards Fishman Street in the distance. Damn, Madame Shirley's prophecy is really inevitable. King Neptune's face was gloomy, his huge body trembled in VV, South, Fishman Street really. Even Fishman Street, King Neptune didn't want to see it destroyed just like that. After all, it wasn't just the Fishman punks who lived there, there were also poor homeless people. Go, let's head to Fishman Street too. King Neptune said solemnly. Father, I'm going too. A delicate female voice came from behind. King Neptune, take me with you too, I also want to see when the prophecy comes true. Dash 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 dash. Captain Vlad. On the flying pirate ship Platinum D-Drake, Jinbei and Vlad stood side by side at the bow, and said solemnly, "What do you want to do?" "How?" Vlad smiled. "First of all, of course, to find the culprits behind Fishman Street, kill them, and then let these stupid guys living on Fishman Street know that we're not them. The enemy of the enemy, just use a little bit more violent means. After all, the guys living here are not people who will listen to people's advice. For example." Vlad winked at Jinbei. "Let Fishman Street fly or something." Chapter 566 Game. Ha 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 ha, what a breath. In a certain pub on Fishman Street, a group of fishmen are drinking freely. Although it is only the afternoon, for these idle fishmen, drinking is the best way to pass the time. Those stupid humans actually want to bring us Fishman Island under their rule, ha 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 ha, what a joke. Fishman will never be a slave. Ha, it's so beautiful, just went and burned the pirate flags of those human pirates, those guys are already mad. Ha ha ha, what happened on Fishman Street yesterday was also what the human pirates did, right? I heard that Mr. Hody was furious. They don't want to leave Fishman Island anymore, that guy Harrow really knows how to seize the moment. Quote. But I heard that that guy is miserable now, he has been caught. No problem, Harrow did such a thing, Boss Hody won't give up on him, he must go back to save him, no problem. These fishmons chatted while drinking. It was at this time that all of a sudden, the sky was shaking. Boom. 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 The ground suddenly began to shake, and the already dilapidated tavern began to drop ashes. Wow. What the hell is going on here? What happened? Earthquake. The earth is shaking. What's going on? Crash. The strong vibration has no tendency to weaken at all. The strong vibration directly shattered this dilapidated tavern, and the fishmen who had been drinking in it were instantly buried. What the hell happened? Of course, the strong natural strength of the fishman family will not let them be crushed by the decayed wooden house like this, but after a short period of stunt, the wooden house fragments exploded in an instant, and a group of confused fishmen has already gone from it came out. This is, what's wrong? What caught their eyes was a very shocking scene. Not far away, the original road leading to other places has been directly broken, and the goal is a blank space, and further down is the other land on Fishman Island. What the hell is going on? Fishman Street is flying. What the hell happened? The place where Fishman Street was originally located is already a huge void, and although it was not prosperous, it was still considered a dense building group that has completely disappeared. Instead, there was the heaviest shadow, as if the entire world had been blocked. And the origin of the shadow is the huge object floating in the air, the whole body is made of mud and stone, Fishman Street, just above it. In the end, what happened? This street has already flown into the sky. Cough, can you hear me? A loud sound came from above, and the fishmons noticed that a huge red boat had floated not far above Fishman Street. A certain man was sitting cross-legged on the bow of the boat, holding a phone. Bug was talking, his voice spread over a speaker placed on the side, so that the whole fishman on Fishman Street could hear it. Fishman Street gangsters. That guy is the owner of that flag. The dull fishman realized then that the seeker of revenge had come. What a terrifying power. Jinbei stood on the deck of the Platinum D-Drake and said in shock, is this the ability of the fluttering fruit? What the hell is going on? Ah, good afternoon, everyone. Vlad greeted, how do you say it? I'm so pissed right now. Really pissed off. My flag was burned by a guy from Fishman Street. Maybe you don't know that what it represents, but for pirates, such behavior is an unforgivable insult, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is a war. Quote. Originally, I didn't plan to do anything to you. After all, it wasn't you who asked that guy to do this, but that guy just wouldn't open his mouth, and he wouldn't say who did it, so. Vlad's mouth curled into a smile. Then there's no other way. Fishman Street. Destroy it today. What did he say? He said he was going to destroy Fishman Street. Is this what he did too? No way. How is it possible? It's just human beings, how can it be possible to do such a thing? Just a lowly human being. Even in such a situation, I still can't recognize the reality. Vlad smiled, then let's let you know a little bit more about how much human power can reach. Fishman Street, which had been lurking in the sky, suddenly regenerated and changed. Some low bursts, although originally floating in the sky, the still flat Fishman Street suddenly began to twist, the surrounding edges began to bulge upward, and the soil at the bottom of the flying Fishman Street began to move towards the edge. Move, just a snap of your fingers, and the edges of Fishman Street are already surrounded by mountain-like things. The extremely high mountains will collapse at any time and smash everything. A huge shadow has shrouded everyone's heads. This is what it is. What is this? Is this really something humans can do? Of course, under Vlad's miraculous power, the Fishmons have collapsed. Wait, this guy said he's going to destroy Fishman Street. No way, no way. After realizing that he couldn't resist, fear and despair came naturally. Stop kidding me. Roaring like this, a black shadow rose into the sky and rushed towards the Platinum Drager. Since it is not far from Fishman Street, it is possible to jump over it with a little effort. But, crackling. Fishman who jumped up. Accompanied by screams, the fish could only fall to the ground. Oh, it's so naughty, do you still want to rebel against us? Vlad's voice began to spread again, and unlike the beginning, this time these Fishmons were a lot more honest. Well, that's fine. It would be too cruel to kill you all directly. We are the guardians of Fishman Island now, right? It's not good to do too much. Vlad suddenly said, that's it, let's play a game that decides your life and death. Start with my shouting. Vlad raised his right index finger, the first person to say the main messenger of the burning pirate flag incident, I will let him die. Of course, it must be correct. Well, that's it. Vlad nodded with satisfaction, forgiving a guy should be considered a lot, right? Then. Start. Chapter 567 Hero. Silence, eerie silence, no one spoke on the wide Fishman Street. Nobody's talking. Well, sure enough Fishman is a tough guy, so. Vlad made a light move with his left hand, and the mountains around the edge of Fishman Street began to move, slowly rolling towards Fishman Street. It's really interesting. If you don't want to accept my kindness, then so be it. Vlad smiled, goodbye. The next second, Fishman Street will be crushed to pieces in an instant. Everyone on Fishman Street was not spared. Stop. In the end, not everyone wants to die, or in other words, few people want to die at all, and when faced with the threat of death, few people can keep their faces straight. Hody. It's Hody Jones. It was finally spoken, and the name Vlad had known for a long time was finally spoken. Yeah. Vlad looked surprised, I thought no one really wanted to live. Then the game is over, congratulations, thank you friends. Crack. Vlad smiled, snapped his fingers gently, and a stone pillar suddenly rose, taking the frightened guy into the air. Congratulations, you have won the game, your life has been saved. Vlad smiled, of course, the rest of the guys are losers. You kicked them all into hell. Quote. It's you, obviously it's you. The lucky Fishman's face burst with blue veins. Well, it doesn't matter, if you say it's me then it's me. Vlad spread his hands, then, everyone, now is the most exciting execution time. Applause. Of course there was no applause. Hey, everyone is not enthusiastic at all. Vlad looked a little disappointed, but forget it, isn't the main event here. With a wave of a big hand, the environment of Fishman Street has begun to change, the street has begun to twist, and the surrounding earth hills have begun to move, which will soon turn Fishman Street into ruins. Don't. Stop. Stop it. Get the hell out of here. It's Hody, I said, it's Hody. Hody made people do it, just let me go. Such voices come and go, of course, no one wants to die when they really face death. It's too late, everyone, the rules of the game just now are very clear. Vlad's voice spread through the loudspeaker. The only winner has been decided, the rest are losers. It's not fair. It's not fair. Suddenly, someone shouted. It's not fair, where do you start? Vlad waved his hand gently, and the changes on Fishman Street abruptly stopped. Who was visible to the naked eye, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Fishman, who had spoken before, said loudly, this is not fair at all. Many of us don't even know about this, let alone who is behind the scenes. How can such a quiz game be fair? Quote. How funny. Are you questioning me? Vlad smiled, then let me ask you, if someone suddenly said that there was a group of people on Fishman Island who attacked the human pirate group that has allied with the Dragon Palace Kingdom, who is this group of people most likely to be? Quote. Fishman can't speak, don't even think about it. Of course, it is most likely the most radical Hody gang on the island. You know, even the vast majority of fishmen in Fishman Street, under normal circumstances, will not take the initiative to run outside Fishman Street to conflict with human pirates. That would be done, of course, only by Hody. Look, isn't this fair? Vlad spread his hands, everyone knows it's them. No, this is not fair. Fishman's face changed, and he said again, you already knew Hody. Otherwise you wouldn't be aware of Hody's popularity on Fishman Street. Yeah, the response is very fast. Vlad smiled, so what? So you knew it was Hody who did it, and the reason why you took action on Fishman Street was just using it as an excuse. It's just a simple vent. All you want is to get rid of it, the only place on this island that is hostile to human beings and refuses to accept your shelter. Quote. Fishman really yelled. Yeah, it's amazing, you've discovered it all. There are actually clear-minded guys in Fishman. Vlad looked astonished, so what? So what's your excuse? What? Fishman was taken aback. The reason I want to destroy Fishman Street is because the Hody Jones gang burned my flag, what about you guys? Vlad smiled, what's your reason for being hostile to us? Is it because humans have hurt you before? Yes. No. How old are you? Because humans have hurt Fishman in the past, so you hate it. Boycott us? Hello, wouldn't that be too mean? We didn't do anything. What? Fishman opened his eyes and took 3 steps back. Perhaps you don't know what I mean to you. Vlad smiled, don't you simply think that after losing Whitebeard's shelter, Fishman Island can really survive the attack of the surging pirates? Of course guys like you don't understand the significance of my flag flying on this island. Vlad smiled, why does the Dragon Palace Kingdom want our shelter? Hey, of course it's because we can liberate this island from the surging tide. For you. It's a hero-like character. Hero. What, are you kidding? Mere humans. Where do we need your protection? Fishman Street doesn't need human heroes. Oh. That's it. Vlad's mouth twitched. Well, it doesn't matter what you think, you guys are not needed. Think about it, obviously living on this island, but never interacting with Fishman Street. Connected to other places, blindly immersed in your own hatred, no one on this island wants you to continue to survive, right? So, it doesn't matter if you don't think I'm a hero. After all, I'm about to destroy this street. Maybe it's better to call me the Great Demon King. Vlad raised his left hand, of course, if there is a hero who can protect you, let him come out and see. Fishman Street flying in the sky began to change, and it became like a huge palm. The bulges on the surrounding edges were like extensions of fingers. Then, this huge palm began to make a fist. Help! No! Let me go! Let me go! Boss Hody! Boss Hody! Help! Boss Hody, come and save me! Boss Hody, why don't you come and save us? It's a pity that Hody Jones, who was regarded as a hero by many people on Fishman Street, did not appear as they expected to save them like a hero. Fortunately, Hody Jones is not the real hero. The real hero is about to appear. Stop. Chapter 568 True Hero. Please stop, Captain Vlad. Such a voice came from one side. Not far away, a huge whale with a bubble around its waist rushed from the sky. On the head of the whale sat an extremely large man with a thick brown beard. It would be someone else, only the guy known as the Sea God, the king of the Dragon Palace Kingdom, and now Vlad's subordinate, King Neptune. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Yeah, really. Fishman Street, who had started to make a fist like a palm, had already stopped moving, and his fingers that covered the sky stopped in midair. Stop, stop. What's the matter? Didn't die. Scared me to death. That is it Neptune? Did he stop the man? Did he save us? Oh, it's good time to come. Vlad smiled, removed the phone bug from his mouth, turned his head to Jinbei and said, "You mean it?" Jinbei. Captain Vlad. Jinbei put his arms around his chest, with a worried look on his face. Will things really develop as you said? I don't know about that. Vlad spread his hands. I'm not some kind of clever guy. All we can do is wait and see. Please stop, Captain Vlad. It was at this time that Neptune, who came quickly, finally arrived in front of Vlad, stood in front of Vlad, and opened his hands. Please stop. Yeah, Neptune. Vlad looked a little surprised, and put the phone bug to his mouth again, and the mighty voice spread out, "Are you here to stop me?" That's right. There was cold sweat on Neptune's forehead, and the situation on Fishman Street was exactly what Mrs. Shirley had told him before. Sure enough, is the prophecy about to be fulfilled. Behind Neptune, Mrs. Shirley slumped on the ground, her face pale. Fishman Street, it's going to be destroyed. Boss Vlad. Shirahoshi, a little frightened little loli, covered her face with her hands, completely unaware that the big brother who had been playing with her before was actually doing such a thing. Strange, Neptune. Vlad tilted his head and said with a smile, "These guys are obviously resisting you, right? It's obviously the turmoil factor in this country, right? Many of these guys are criminals, right? I'm helping you. Captain Vlad, indeed, a lot of people who live on Fishman Street because of our failures in our work, because of my failures." Neptune said, "However, the perpetrators are still a minority. Many people living on Fishman Street have different ideas, but they are all innocent. They are all the people of this country. Nip. Dayton, the king of this country has the duty to protect them." Quote. Well, what a wonderful man, Neptune. Vlad sincerely praised, "Great spirit. The so-called king is not lonely. I am for everyone, everyone is for me. Neptune is a great king." Overwhelmed. "I just hope." Neptune said, "Captain Vlad, you can spare Fishman Street. Fishman Island has recently joined our pirate group, and it is reasonable to meet such an insignificant request as you. But, Neptune, I refuse." Vlad smiled and said, "As I said just now, if you want to destroy Fishman Street, you must destroy it. I'm still barely a man who keeps his word." What? Neptune's body trembled, and dense sweat appeared on his face. "Okay, just stand aside and watch silently, Neptune, when the destruction is going on." Vlad smiled, his left hand began to slowly make a fist. Almost simultaneously, the huge palm that Fishman Street had turned into also began to slowly close, and it only took a few breaths, and Fishman Street would turn into ruins. Of course, the fishman living on Fishman Street will also be smashed to pieces. "Stop, please stop, Captain Vlad." With a loud roar from Neptune, Vlad stopped. What are you doing, Neptune? There was no smile in Vlad's tone anymore. Although all this was his plan, he did not expect such a situation. Stand up for me, Nipton, Fred exclaimed. In front of him, on the back of the huge whale, the king of the Dragon Palace Kingdom, Neptune, the god of the sea, put his hands on the whale's back and his head was on the ground. Captain Vlad, please spare Fishman Street. I said, stand up for me. Vlad said solemnly, didn't you hear, Neptune? Kneel down on your knees. The Neptune guy. What is he doing? Nipton, you bastard, what are you doing? It wasn't just Vlad who was excited, but the fishmons on Fishman Street below. Stand up, bastard. Who made you kneel? Tears could not be stopped, and tears began to flow on the faces that were extremely angry. How can the fishman kneel in front of humans? You bastard. Neptune, stand up for me. We don't need you to save us. People on Fishman Street, even if they die, they won't bow their heads like humans. Stand up for me. Everyone understands why the king of this country would kneel to a group of human pirates. Humiliation, unparalleled humiliation breathes in the hearts of Fishman. At the same time, they are recognized, saved, believed, and moved silently. Also born from this. Hurrah! Vlad glanced lightly at the guys on Fishman Street below. I'm really pissed off now. Even if we die, Boss Hody will avenge us. You stand up. Neptune, are you still king? Hody, really? Vlad's mouth twitched. Now just hearing this guy's voice makes me feel sick. Whoosh. A black shadow suddenly flashed and flew quickly from a distance. It's finally here. Vlad Isho, I'm so pissed right now. Now, idiots, let's see who is the hero. It's been a long time, Captain. The woman's indifferent voice came from above. The beautiful woman was covered with fumaroles, which allowed her to fly easily in the air. Her left hand turned into an iron net, and the group of people was enclosed in the net. New Fishman Pirates. The person you want has been brought here. Chapter 569 The Destruction of Fishman Street. That is. Fishman Street below, the Fishman's eyes gradually widened. Hody. Boss Hody. How is that possible? Is it really Boss Hody? Since the flight height of the maid is not too high, it is not impossible to see the true face of the group of people caught in the fishing net, and it is indeed the group of Hody. X23 US. Com updates are quickest to be seen as heroes by the guys on Fishman Street. Big Brother Leopard Tibetan, Big Brother Toss, Big Brother Geo, Big Brother Damo, all big brothers. Are you kidding? It's just one person. Impossible, how could Boss Hody and the others fail? The spiritual leader of Fishman Street, Hody and his gang of the new Fishman Pirates has now been wiped out, and the opponent is just one person. As early as when he came to Fishman Street, Vlad asked the maid to go to the station of the new Fishman Pirates first, in the oath boat Noah, to catch this group of disgusting guys in one go. There would be no accident at all. In this case, the strength of the maid is overwhelmingly strong relative to these guys. Oh, you are Hody Jones. Vlad laughed, the one who brought Fishman Street into a state of destruction. Vomit. A mouthful of blood spurted out, and Hody, who was repaired by the maid, said angrily, human. Ask a question, Hody Jones. I'm not interested in why you hate humans. I just want to ask, you who hate humans so much, seeing so many of your compatriots are on the brink of death because of your actions, let so many people die with you, what do you want to say? Vlad said with great interest. Ahahaha, humans, do you think Fishman will be as cowardly as you humans? It's just death. Do you think this will make us submit? Hody yelled. Boss Hody is right. Humans, don't make us bend. It's just death. Who would bow to humans? Few fishmen who are driven by this remark. Yeah, that's true, so am I not the villain? Vlad smiled, turned back and blinked slightly. Shut up, Hody, don't be ashamed. Behind Vlad, Jinbei jumped lightly and landed on the side of the boat, his face full of anger. Because of your own impulsive behavior, let everyone die with you. Such behavior can still be said so righteously. Dragon pirates, Captain Vlad is neither an aggressor nor a destroyer. We join his flag. In exchange, he gives us shelter. You know what your actions have brought to Fishman Island. You have seen the power of Captain Vlad, which is the power that can easily destroy Fishman Island. You guy, almost brought disaster to this island. Jinbei. Hadi's eyes widened in surprise. Boss Jinbei. Why is Boss Jinbei on the dragon's boat? What's the matter? Is Boss Jinbei watching that guy destroy Fishman Street? There was a lot of discussion. Look clearly, the people of Fishman Street, the guys you admire, only brought destruction to this street, this island, and the men you hate and despise. Jinbei pointed to Neptune, who was still kneeling on the ground, and said loudly, that King Neptune, for your life, completely disregarded the dignity of being a king, and knelt down to people. Quote. Silence, dead silence, no one could speak. Ahahaha. Jinbei, you bastard, you speak for this man because you have joined his command, right? Hody twitched the corners of his mouth and smiled. Have you surrendered to human beings? What qualifications do you have to speak in front of us? Jinbei boss really? Human. Yes, the Sun Pirates led by this old man have joined the Fire Dragon Pirates. Jinbei's face was magnanimous, inherited from the will of Boss Tiger. In order to protect Fishman Island, the Sun Pirates have been fighting for this goal. Join the Fire Dragon Pirates for this purpose. Top. The Whitebeard Pirates fell to the throne in the war. Fishman Island needs new shelter, otherwise, this island will only be destroyed. Quote. Fishman doesn't need human protection. Howdy yelled. Have you all forgotten the suffering of the past? Jinbei also yelled, pulling back the shirt on his chest, revealing the sun-like tattoo. Isn't this mark that hides humiliation with glory a testimony to the suffering of Fishman? The suffering that happened on Fishman Island in the past. Do you still want to make it happen again? Is it so hard to admit that Fishman Island is not strong enough to protect yourself? Is your dignity more important than the lives of all your compatriots? Quote. Not talking, many fishmons on Fishman Street were witnesses at that time. Before they were sheltered by the Whitebeard Pirates, countless sad stories happened on this island. But, Boss Hody, the one who killed the assassin who assassinated Princess Otahime. Yes, Boss Hody is the hero of Fishman Island. Avenge the revenge for Princess E.G., the boss of Hody. The fishmons talked a lot. No. Some panicked girls' voices rang out. It was Shirahoshi who had been huddled behind his father's back. Princess Shirahoshi. That is, Princess Shirahoshi. Fishmons, stunned. Princess Shirahoshi. Jinbei was a little surprised. Oh, have you finally summoned the courage? Vlad smiled. It's not like that. There were tears in Shirahoshi's eyes. It's not like that. Speak, Shirahoshi. Vlad said loudly, looking at the beautiful girl. Don't be afraid. Say it bravely. You. A whimper, Shirahoshi took a breath and said loudly, it's not like that. That man, Mr. Hody was not the one who killed the murderer. No, Mom was killed by him. What? Neptune turned his head sharply. Yes, Hody. Jinbei's eyes bulged. What? No way. Princess E.G. is the quilt, Boss Hody. Really? No. Princess Otahime is a woman whom both Fishman and Mermaid respect, and the hero of Fishman Island. It's true. It's me. Shirahoshi rubbed his eyes with his hands, tears streaming down his eyes. It's the mother I saw with my own eyes. That is, he was killed by him. Hody, really? Jinbei's face was extremely gloomy. Is it really you? Quote. Ahahaha. What happened to me? Hody laughed. That stupid woman. As a mermaid, do you still want to make peace with a lowly human? It's so fragile, as expected of a mermaid scum who is inclined to humans, just a shot. You bastard. The anger could not be suppressed. Really, Hody? He killed Princess Itsuki. That Princess Itsuki. No way, no way. How is that possible? Don't get it yet, idiots. Jinbei said angrily, this guy, Fishman Hody, is nothing but a careerist who used lies to deceive you, a sinner who has been provoking the relationship between humans and Fishman, intending to push this island to destruction. The man who is really trying to save you, the man who really believes in you. I'm still kneeling there now. Quote. King Neptune. For guys like us. Damn, what the hell are we? Damn. Let's do it. Fire dragon. Destroy us, this street, all. Really, I'm still a little moved. Vlad smiled, since you are courting death, then see you. The left hand is about to wave down. Please forgive them. Captain Vlad. Jinbei, like Neptune, knelt down in front of Vlad and put his hands on the ground. Please let them go. These guys, although they are a bunch of idiots, but they are also our precious compatriots. Boss Jinbei. No, you don't have to do this for us. We are just a bunch of idiots. Well, really. Vlad shook his head in annoyance, as Jinbei going to step in too. Damn, Jinbei, you bastard, are you demagoguery? In the fishing net, Hody said furiously. Quiet, idiot. Vlad's eyes widened, his invisible aura surged out, and Hody lost consciousness instantly. Please, Captain Vlad. Neptune said loudly, leave these guys alone. I'll definitely take control of Fishman Street in the future. Let these guys never have the chance to commit crimes again. So. PFF'd. The huge forehead slammed into the whale's back, and the king of the country fell to his knees. Please let them go. Neptune. Vlad stopped with his left hand. Boss Vlad, please stop. Shirahoshi watched Vlad with big watery eyes, whimpering, please stop. Yeah, everyone's trying to persuade me, really. Vlad laughed and yelled at Fishman Street, how is it? Dummies, now you know who the hero is. Quote. No one speaks. Well, but Fishman Street is still going to be destroyed. After all, it has been said before that Fishman Street must be destroyed, so you can't break your promise, right? Vlad chuckled, however, with the Sun Pirates as the main body, the number of Fishman Corps I imagined is a little too small. Hey, everyone, I have an idea. But before that, let's see what is incomparable. Jinbei and Neptune think it is the power that can protect Fishman Island. Boom. With a loud bang, Fishman Street was engulfed in flames, and since then, this sinful area on Fishman Island has been completely drawn to a rest. The prophecy is indeed a 100% hit. Mrs. Charlie faced the wind, her short hair was blowing everywhere. Fishman Street, really destroyed. The most complete destruction. Chapter 570, The Fishman Corps and Restart. Fishman Island, Ryugu Castle. X23 US. Update the fastest two men are talking. Is today the 7th day? Sitting leisurely in the bathtub, Neptune said while taking a bath. Well, today is the last day of the agreement. Beside him, Jinbei, who was also naked, also leaned comfortably on the edge of the pool, closed his eyes, and replied. I am so sorry. Neptune shook his head, and said in frustration, if you look at it like this, Shirahoshi will definitely follow him. Don't worry, Neptune, even if Princess Shirahoshi follows Captain Vlad, there will be no problem, that man. Jinbei smiled and said, there is no doubt that she is the one who can protect Princess Shirahoshi. Instead of letting Princess Shirahoshi stay on Fishman Island and be scared because of her, it is better to let her go to sea and gallop freely. But Shirahoshi is only 14 years old. Neptune was worried. Let it be. Jinbei laughed, Captain Vlad, an amazing man. Indeed. Neptune nodded. I am now deeply aware that Otoji's wish may be fulfilled, the agreement 800 years ago may be fulfilled, and that useless arc may soon be used. Up. Ha ha ha, I feel the same way. Jinbei laughed. I think Captain Vlad can be the One Piece King of Pirates. Then go. Jinbei, follow behind him. Neptune says, go see the most breathtaking scenery in the world. So, Neptune, what about the guys on Fishman Street? Jinbei asked. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect those unruly boys to be so honest. Didn't you see the way those guys were building their houses in full swing while weeping? Neptune laughed. That's amazing. Captain Vlad really destroyed Fishman Street, just like Mrs. Shirley's prophecy. Of course, Vlad couldn't do that. The Fishman of Fishman Street stopped hating humans, but it was still possible to make them stop being hostile to Neptune and ignore this king's contribution to peace. Where are you, Jinbei? Very well, I joined the Fire Dragon Pirates in order to protect my homeland. Jinbei nodded. Those boys are also very enthusiastic. Now the total number has exceeded 5,000. Really, it's a great measure. Neptune nodded and said, there are only a dozen people on board, but it is really amazing to be able to recruit such a large number of Fishman Corps, and to give them all to you, Captain Vlad. 6 days have passed since the time of Fishman Street. Fishman Street has followed Vlad with a shooting star gun. In the dull eyes of everyone, this shooting star gun directly shrunk into a ball. Fishman Street was smashed into rubbish, and the remaining falling fragments were also turned into nothingness under the long-range attack of Enel. The terrifying power displayed by the Fire Dragon Pirates has scared everyone silly. Fishman Street, completely destroyed by Vlad. However, the guys on Fishman Street were not dead, and Vlad had no intention of doing anything to these guys. Except for the Hody gang who were thrown to Fishman Street by Vlad himself, the rest of the Fishman Street residents have all been evacuated long ago, and now they are starting a new life in various parts of Fishman Island. Among these guys, the more capable ones were recruited by Jinbei into the Sun Pirates, forming a large mermaid army with more than 5,000 people. It can be said to be very amazing. The number of the God's Guard is not comparable to the current Sun Pirates. The Fire Dragon Pirates, after a short stay on Fishman Island, once again expanded their power greatly. After all, the innate strength of Fishman is 10 times that of human beings, and this Fishman army, as a low-end combat power, is completely enough. Dash 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 dash. Time quickly came to the second day, the day when the Dragon Pirates left Fishman Island. Because of the special nature of the Platinum Dragon, the banquet to see off Vlad and his group was held in the square outside the Dragon Palace. Hiccup tilde. After burping, Vlad patted his stomach contentedly and said with a smile, okay, I'm full, it's time to go. It's about saying goodbye. Neptune looked a little emotional. Time flies. Vlad smiled, the separation now is for the reunion in the future. Then please go ahead, Captain Vlad. Jinbei said, these new guys still need training. Nothing. Vlad smiled, just come and see us when the time comes. Mr. Vlad, I also joined the Sun Pirates. The beautiful Miss Fishman leaned in front of Vlad, raised her right hand and said loudly. Miss Leah. Vlad was really surprised. Well, Leah is a famous doctor on the island. Jinbei nodded that it was true. Really, that's amazing. Vlad smiled. Hey, I'll help Mr. Vlad too. Just like Mrs. Shirley. Leah was smiling. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Vlad smiled. Jinbei, I'll give you my pet. He turned his head and looked at the bald sea god who was hiding behind Ryaguchung but exposed his head because of his huge size. Is this guy better on your side? Okay, Captain Vlad. Jinbei smiled. I will teach this guy the way of chivalry. Then, Vlad turned his head to the other side, where Shirahoshi was. Shirahoshi, do you want to get on my boat? Vlad said, come onto my ship and go on adventures with me. Be my partner like Mrs. Shirley. Shirahoshi, who had been weeping secretly because of Vlad's departure, looked a little stunned. He looked at the boat in the distance, the beautiful mermaid smoking a cigarette in the old god's presence, and he opened his mouth somewhat. Yes, of course it's you. Vlad smiled. I'm looking forward to spending time with you. With Boss Vlad, all right. Shirahoshi's eyes flashed with anticipation. Vlad's bet with Neptune Jinbei lasted for a total of 7 days. During these 7 days, Vlad and her got along day and night, playing together all day, under the leadership of Miss Leia, the local snake. Next, I have played all the fun places on Fishman Island, and the relationship between the two can be said to be very strong. Uncle Vlad's child-rearing skills are not bragging, it is true. Well, the sea outside is far more beautiful than Fishman Island. Vlad smiled. Want to come together? Shirahoshi, start a wonderful sailing life with me. Mean. Shirahoshi looked a little twitchy. Have a sea with Boss Vlad. It must be great. But what? Shirahoshi lowered his head and looked Vlad in the eyes. Boss Vlad, I want to wait a little longer. Well. Vlad raised his eyebrows in surprise. Wait a minute. Well, even following Boss Vlad now won't help. It will only be a burden to Boss Vlad. I don't think it's good enough. Shirahoshi was no longer restrained in front of Vlad, and said loudly, I want to help Boss Vlad. I want this. That's it. Vlad smiled, walked in front of Shirahoshi, patted the girl's fishtail lightly, raised his head and said, then make an appointment. Shirahoshi, let's make a contract like this. When you think you can help, come to my ship when I'm busy. Yeah. Shirahoshi nodded heavily, tears already streaming from her eyes. Silly boy. Vlad smiled and didn't care. When parting, it was natural to cry, so let the tears flow freely. Well, give me some of your nails. Oh. Shirahoshi nodded blankly. Then the bet is my loser. Vlad turned his head towards Neptune and said, Shirahoshi, let her stay on Fishman Island. To be honest, I was a little surprised. Neptune scratched his head. Well, life is full of surprises. Vlad spread his hands, that's why it's so exciting. So, Captain Vlad. Jinbei said with a smile, are you going to take Fishman Island away? Hey, didn't you take it away? Vlad smiled. Isn't the whole Fishman Island taken away by me? Then he turned around. No need to stop for more, no need to add more words, and walked straight towards the Platinum D-Drag, which was parked on the side. Fire Dragon Pirates. Sail out. The huge pirate ship disappeared into the green space. Father, I won't cry anymore. I want to be someone who can help Boss Vlad. Chapter 571 Goodbye Shadow Blade. In a certain sea area in the New World, the breeze is gentle and the sun is shining. Such weather is really rare. X23 US. Calm updates fastest. Some of the calm sea changed suddenly, the sea opened like a door, and the huge pirate ship rose into the sky from inside, quietly suspended above the sea. Wow, it's been a long time. Vlad smiled, the air in the New World is so fresh. Captain, if I remember correctly. Behind Vlad, Enel smiled, didn't you come to the New World once before the war? Provoking a war between the Beast Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates. I mean, the Fire Dragon Pirates have entered the New World to develop. This is the first time. Vlad spread his hands and said so. This is the world above the sea. The new member of the Fire Dragon Pirates who came to the sea for the first time, the Prophet, Mrs. Shiarly looked a little stunned. That is the sun, that is the cloud, this is the sea breeze, this is the sea, this is the world. Quote. Well, how is it? It's so beautiful, isn't it? Vlad laughed, such a world. Well, what a beautiful world. Mrs. Shiarly nodded. Then, Captain, where does the first step begin? Standing aside, the chef asked. The first step. Vlad smiled, by the way, this is Darrow's Rosa, right? Doctor, are you ready to seek revenge on the flamingos now? It's still early. With his back against the cabin, Luo lightly clenched his fists, with a gloomy expression on his face, and said, "It's still too early. Although I don't want to admit it, there is still a gap in strength between me and that guy now." "Very good." Vlad snapped his fingers. "That's very good. In this sea, we need a brave heart, but at the same time, a cautious character is the strong guarantee for us to be able to sail safely on this sea full of stormy waves." Quote. "It's a good idea to recognize yourself before you can recognize this sea, Doctor." "So what about Captain? You still haven't said what to do next." "Some were leaning on the deck and smoking a cigarette," the maid asked. "Really?" Vlad was stunned for a moment, then took out a piece of paper from his pocket and smiled. "If you don't want to go to Darrow's Rosa to find that flamingo, then go find this guy." "Oh, that's right." Maid nodded. "He also came to the New World before." "Let's go then. Go find Moria." Huge islands are floating on the sea like a big ship sailing on the sea. "Monster, monster. This guy, this guy." A group of pirates who accidentally broke into this island are like lost dogs, fleeing on this island where the devil lives. There are all kinds of islands in the New World, but such a terrifying island is probably unique. The seemingly gloomy island has no people at all. This group of pirates could have laughed and adventured on this island. Drilled out from the ground, if the maggots of the Tarsus attacked this pirate group, it can't be killed. Even if it is cut into 2 pieces, it can continue to move. It can't be consumed to death. It seems that there is no physical limitation at all, and it will never stop. But these zombies alone are actually quite good to deal with. Their strength is not too strong, and they are not difficult opponents for the pirates who have been sailing in the New World all the year round. What is really difficult is that the masters of these zombies are as powerful as monsters. Hee 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 hee. Do you still want to leave, pirates? A huge figure lay in front of them, like an indestructible wall, a moat that the pirates could never pass. Damn, this guy, Shichibukai, the former king, is now under the dragon pirates, Gecko Moria. The pirate captain with cold sweat on his forehead clenched his fists tightly. "Why are you here?" "Ha ha 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 ha. Negative ghost." Behind the pirates, the woman floating in the sky like a ghost waved her hands, and several transparent ghosts shot out from her hands, instantly penetrating the chest of a piece of pirates. "I want to be a maggot. It's so tiring to live. It's okay to suffocate yourself if you don't breathe. If there is an afterlife, I want to be a piece of shit, and no one will ever bother me." Very terrifying power. All the pirates penetrated by the ghost seemed to have suffered a huge blow, became extremely negative, and instantly lost their firepower. "Go to hell, asshole." Howling like this, the pirate with the long sword in his hand jumped up, and the heavy sword slashed towards the ghost girl, Perona's head. "What?" Surprised, naturally surprised, useless, the sword in his hand penetrated Perona's body directly, like Logia's elementalization. Can't do any harm to her at all. "What?" The pirates were already stunned. "Ha ha 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 ha. Ghost bomb." The pirate did not notice that there was a small white ghost behind him, and then, an explosion occurred, and the terrifying explosion instantly shattered the pirate. "Damn, this guy." The pirate captain's pupils shrank. The ghost girl's ability is too tricky. Even armament hockey can't cause damage to her. Hey, you are looking around. The huge fist has been heavily slammed into his face. "Hey." With a scream, the unfortunate pirate captain was blasted away by Moria's powerful punch. Cough cough. The pirate captain coughed. His face was completely deformed, and the opponent's terrifying strength made him unable to stand up again after just a single blow. "This guy. Hey, your shadow, I want it." Moria smiled. His figure was far from the obese look he used to be, extremely majestic, muscular, and looked like a mountain of meat. "What?" The pirate captain was suddenly shocked. The black substance like running water had covered his body, and his body had been completely restrained, and he could not move at all. He, shadow bondage." Moria smiled. "Captain." Let him go. Get me off the captain's side. A group of pirates rushed towards Moria. Really? Moria smiled and waved her right hand casually. Puff 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 puff. Countless black shadow spears shot up from the ground, instantly piercing all the pirates that rushed towards him. Of course, in order to collect the shadows, none of these guys were seriously injured, all of them were penetrated through the thighs and the like, and then bound by the shadows, they could only collapse on the ground weakly and wailing. I don't know what it means. In the blink of an eye, the pirates who strayed into this island have all been wiped out, and the gap in strength is overwhelming. Lord Moria. Falling gently beside Moria, Perona smiled. It's all done, not a single one slipped through the net. He, take these guys back first. Moria laughed. There's more shadow reserves. Click. The door in front of him opened wide in an instant, and the man's bold voice had come over. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a coincidence. Moria. Dash 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 dash. Push the book and push the book. This time it is responsible for pushing the book. One Punch Man, the Emperor Engine, the leader in the One Punch Fellow at the starting point, a good book. Go and see. Go. The Daily Life of Women's Clothing. The Daily Life of Women's Clothing Bosses. Hey, one word, like. Chapter 572 New World Situation and New Bounties. In a certain sea area in the New World, a huge shadow was cruising on the sea surface, as if a huge rain cloud was floating in the sky, bringing a heavy shadow to the sea below. The reason for such a shadow is that above the sky, a huge island ignores the gravitational force from the Earth, flying recklessly above the sky, which is really an astonishing sight. Well, what a terrifying ability. In the middle of the huge island is a somewhat gloomy building community. In a huge banquet hall, a banquet is being held. The participants are a group of people from the Fire Dragon Pirates and a group of people from the terrifying three-masted sailing ship. A tall body, Moria, who was so fat as she used to be, sat on a huge specially made chair and shoved a piece of meat into her mouth while smiling. He, Captain Vlad, that's amazing. This is the ability of the Golden Lion, right? Are you a dual ability now? Well, it's not a complete dual ability person, but it's almost there. Sitting next to Moria, Vlad focused on eating and said casually, why are you interested? Okay, this is not a great technology for us. He, is that so? The power of science. It's scary, but... Moria looked down at Vlad and smiled, forget it, I already feel good now. As you wish. Vlad doesn't care either. Everyone has his own choice. Of course, he won't interfere. You can tell me when you change your mind. So, Mr. Moria. Sitting opposite Vlad, the chef leisurely cut a piece of steak into his mouth with a dining knife, wiped his mouth, and said softly, what is the situation in the New World now? The situation in the New World. He. Moria's laughter is still as creepy as ever. Now that the New World is in a mess, it's a perfect opportunity for us. How to say? Vlad swallowed a mouthful of food, raised his head, and chuckled. The aftermath of Whitebeard's death is just coming. Moria smiled. In this new world, there are as many losers as Whitebeard and Roger in the past. After the wall that blocks their way comes down, what will these guys do? Really, it seems that the Whitebeard pirates have been having a hard time these days. Maid said softly, isn't the enemy you face only from the four emperors? That's right, at the same time as the war on the roof broke out, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin fought a big battle on Friggy Island, which originally belonged to the Whitebeard pirates. The war lasted until the second day after the war on the roof ended. It's like the past, there is no winner, but, as a battlefield, a total of 5 islands were sunk by them near that sea area. But that's all, the war between the 4 emperors will end here. Continuing the battle will not have any good results. It will only lose both sides. 100 Beasts and Big Mom are not fools. After the news of his death, he has already stopped tacitly, and his goal has been placed on the site that originally belonged to Whitebeard. So, Vlad smiled. The Whitebeard pirates led by Marco are now fighting against the two Four Emperor pirates in order to protect the original territory while dealing with the endless Avengers. Hey, also too bad, right? If there is no intervention from other people in this situation, I am afraid that this legendary pirate group will only end in destruction, right? The Whitebeard pirates are the most distinctive pirates. Moria said, with some respect in her tone, take all the members as family, so they will not give up the chassis of their subordinates. For the sake of their family, isn't even the Marine headquarters going to war? 4 emperors, it counts. What? Well, that's right, woo ha ha ha, it's really, really dangerous. Vlad smiled. No one will help them, and they won't accept help from others, will they? Yes, no one will help them, not even the redhead pirates who rush to support them at the top will not help the Whitebeard pirates. Everyone has their own adventures, and the guys from the Whitebeard pirates, it is absolutely unacceptable for their dignity to be unwilling to accept help from others. So, Captain Vlad, the Whitebeard pirates' throne won't last long, should we act? Moria laughed. Put them off the throne. The Emperor. Vlad looked a little disinterested, not very interested. He, are you kidding me? Captain Vlad, who is considered by everyone to be the new Emperor's candidate, offers a bounty. Moria looked a little surprised. The 1.8 billion monster-level pirates are not interested in the Emperor's position. It's boring, don't you think? What kind of pirate emperor? Vlad was stunned. How much do you want to offer a bounty? 1.8 billion. Well, don't you know yet, Captain Vlad? Moria looked a little strange. You don't think that you can still be ignored by the government after breaking out of the sequence of King Shichibukai after doing such a thing in the top war? No, it's not. I'm just a little surprised. Vlad smiled. Our new bounty has finally come down. Has the Marine headquarters started to care about these trivial matters so soon? In the war on the top a month ago, Marine's headquarters was hit hard. Marineford was directly burned into nothingness by Vlad. Of course, he had no intention to deal with such insignificant things as bounties. Well, just a week later, the new bounty has just come down. Moria nodded and said, so you don't know yet. That's a really amazing value. Tell me about it. Vlad laughed. How amazing. This time it's a bounty for everyone. Moria looked around, looked at the faces of all the members of the Fire Dragon Pirates, and then paused in surprise on the faces of Monkey and Mrs. Shirley. Well, it seems that there are new members, so it's not a reward for all members. First, Fire Dragon Vlad, extremely dangerous, bounty, 1.8 billion Bailey, life or death. Hey, 1.8 billion. Vlad smiled, not bad. Lightning Enel, extremely dangerous, with a bounty of 1,060 million. Hey, what's the name of the Flash Thunder? Enel's mouth twitched. This god is a god. Then, the Magic Chef Dino, is extremely dangerous, with a bounty of 1 billion. Magic Chef. Chef's mouth twitched. Vivi, what's this title? It's not as good as the bad chefs of the past. Why can't it be a gentleman chef or a chef prince or something? Don't think too much, chef. Vlad laughed. My name is Fire Dragon. Do you still expect Marine to give you a nice nickname? Only 1 billion. The chef looked a little emotional. We have really stood on the top of the pirate world. Chapter 573. Do the Whitebeard pirates a favor. What is the concept of $1 billion bounty? Pirates who can wander in the New World can have a reward of 300 million to 400 million, and they are considered the elites of this sea area, and can be called a big pirate. At the level of 5 or 6 billion, they already have the qualifications to be called monsters. Even in the New World, they are frightening powerhouses. Even in the 4 Emperor pirates, pirates of this level are enough to play the main force. Combatants, of course not many. At more than 700 million, he is almost a senior cadre of the 4 Emperor pirates, the core of the team, and in the New World, he is also a well-known powerhouse in the sea, and the name alone can make ordinary pirates lose their will to fight. More than 800 million, it is already the level of the highest cadre of the 4 emperor pirates. In the New World, it is a well-deserved top powerhouse. It exists like a wild beast, and it is the sharpest sword in the hands of the 4 emperors. It is absolutely impossible for ordinary pirates. Reachable existence. And 1 billion is the best among such guys, the monster among the monsters, who is already qualified to challenge the position of the 4 emperors. There are 3 people in the Fire Dragon Pirates of more than 1 billion. Captain, Vlad's bounty is 1.8 billion. The new emperor is well deserved. Go on, Moria. Vlad smiled, where's the bounty for the rest of the guys? He, then it will be less than 1 billion. Moria smiled, then there is Mr. Swordsman, the samurai of the dead, Sakata XX, with a bounty of 830 million. No way, Sakata didn't make an honest shot, right? Isn't this kind of bounty a bit too high? Vlad was a little surprised. 830 million, where is that high? The samurai who was sitting on the side with his sword in both hands was a little unhappy. Isn't it less than 1 billion? Is Mr. Sakata that weak in the eyes of those bullshit Marines? What a joke, just wait and see, sooner or later, I will make you cry ugly. Vlad wanted to laugh a little. Since Sakata hadn't shot, Marine had overestimated this guy's strength as much as possible, but in fact it wasn't enough. When he first met Sakata, this man had the strength to fight Wano Kuni's general, perhaps slightly inferior to Jin, who later encountered one of the 3 disasters, but his real strength was definitely more than 800 million. Then comes the armed maid, Baby 5, with a bounty of 790 million, which is also a terrifying level. Moria smiled. Isn't it less than 800 million? The maid let out a sigh of relief. After all, she was the earliest member of the Fire Dragon Pirates, and the bounty was ranked so low, which was a little uncomfortable. Following, Mad Scientist, Paso, with a bounty of 750 million. 700 million. Maid was taken aback, this guy is also 700 million. The guy who has never shown any strength, has not even participated in battles, and has been experimenting behind the scenes, the bounty is not much lower than her, what are you kidding? Oh, it's amazing, the government, does it even know anything about the situation in Paso? Terrible. Vlad looked a little surprised. The importance of Paso to the Fire Dragon Pirates is naturally self-evident. All kinds of magical medicines and the Chimera plan that has been completed now are all completed by Paso, although 750 million is already high, but Vlad believes that such a bounty is still a bit low compared to Paso's threat to the government. And then there's Dr. Devil, Trafalgar Law, with a bounty of 470 million. Tisk, is it only 400 million? Luo pouted, looking a little unhappy, it's still a long way off. 400 million is amazing. Beside Luo, Bai Shangbibo had an envious expression, Luo, 470 million. After that, the fallen musician, Miss Herrick Serena, with a bounty, Moria hesitated. Well, how much? Miss Musician was a little stunned, is it 400 million? Fallen Music Festival, Miss Herrick Serena, the bounty is 30 million Baileys. Moria looked like she wanted to laugh. What did you say? The beautiful woman's expression changed dramatically, her feet on the table, her face was extremely vicious, 30 million. Did you miss 2 zeros? 2 zeros, 3 billion. Vlad smiled, hey, Serena, is your heart too big? Don't talk nonsense, of course you don't care about 1.8 billion. Serena was angry. Maybe it's because the government doesn't think you're too dangerous. Miss Musician. Moria smiled. Damn government. Sooner or later I will overthrow this world government. Miss Serena sat down on the chair angrily. Finally, Mr. Beppo the White Bear, with a bounty. Moria smiled, 100 Baileys. Bebo blinked, some did not come back to his senses. 100 Baileys. Moria thought he didn't hear clearly, and repeated another side. You. Sobbing, The big white bear squatted in the corner, hugging his knees, looking very sad. Woo ha 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 ha, that's not bad. There, 100 Baileys. Vlad walked to Beppo's side blindly and patted the bear on the head. You. Also lower. Are all the people wanted except me? The woman sitting gracefully on the side had a smile on her lips. What a terrible boat I'm on. The total reward is 6,730,100 Bailey. What are you kidding? Also at the banquet, the face of the transparent person named Absalom was covered in cold sweat. What kind of monster pirate group is this? Gudong, the reward amount for 9 people is such a terrifying level. There is also the ghost girl with sweat on her face. Is this the level of a pirate group that can become an emperor? Fortunately, it is not an enemy. He. And finally, because I was judged by the government as a member of the Fire Dragon Pirates. Moria had a smile on her face. My bounty went up as well. Yeah. Vlad sat back in his seat and smiled. How many are there? Of course it's nothing compared to you, but it has also increased a lot from the original bounty. Moria said bluntly, 530 million. Is it only 500 million? Vlad raised his eyebrows. So little. It seems that Marine's intelligence work is still not in place. I don't think it will be a problem to add at least 300 million to 400 million. Right, Moria. Hey. Moria smiled. Well, who knows? Ah ha, you bastard. Vlad smiled back. Well, there are times when you shoot anyway. So, Mr. Vlad, what shall we do next? Moria smiled. Even if you don't have any interest in the hegemony, but since you have entered the new world, you have to be involved in the real hegemony struggle in the new world, right? Well, next. Vlad smiled. Just go and help the Whitebeard pirates first. Although they certainly won't want to. Chapter 574 Chimera 2. It was early in the morning. The fiery red sun rose from the sky, and the soft sunlight shone all over the island, and everything seemed extremely moving in the misty morning light. It should have been like this, but in the center of the island, the thick smoke rising into the sky cast a heavy shadow on this island. The forest that was supposed to be surrounded by green trees and fragrant of birds and flowers has been burnt to a scorched earth by the flames. The bustling city that should have been crowded by people is now in ruins. The sudden war destroyed everything. The treasures cherished by the residents of the island have been destroyed. Family, friends, wealth, homes, and everything that can be called treasures have been destroyed. This is Nuke Island. It was originally an island under the protection of the Whitebeard pirates. It is an extremely beautiful and desirable island. Originally, it should be like this. A week ago, this place was still a paradise on Earth, but now, it is different. The top war marine is indeed defeated, but the problem is that the Whitebeard pirates who should have been the victors also paid an extremely heavy price. Whitebeard died in the battle, Diamond Jozu died in the battle, and its pirate group was destroyed. 1. The remaining remnants can no longer maintain the original throne. Can no longer provide shelter for the original territory. Because of this, when the Fang's pirates under the Beast's pirates attacked, the island was completely unprotected, like a little girl who had stripped her clothes facing a burly man. Things only tremble under the persecution. Well, choose this place. Above Nuke Island, at a distance of 10,000 meters, a huge island was quietly suspended. Standing on the white cloud, Vlad stood on the edge of the island, still dragon-like, even if his sharp eyes were separated by 10,000 meters. From a distance, you can still easily see the islands above the sea. Is it Newark Island? Vlad smiled. Would it be a good test site? Well. Beside Vlad, Paso nodded. Yes. Oh, it's really troublesome. Although I have absolutely no interest in competing for hegemony, and the 4 emperors are even less attractive to me, but... Vlad looked unhappy. Scientific research really burns money. Originally, there was only Paso in the research team of the Dragon Pirates. After defeating the Kingdom of Germa, he wiped out all the elite scientists in that country. In such a period, Vlad's financial ability was still affordable. After all, I got all the goings of Sky Island, and I am also a good friend with the local tyrant Tessero. But it is different now. He has taken over the scientific troops under the world government. The financial pressure brought by this is very unusual. In order to realize his bold idea, Uncle Vlad has no money. It's not an empty phrase that scientific research burns money. No wonder Vegapunk will honestly follow the government. The government is a big tyrant, and there is no shortage of research funds. Therefore, Vlad is very short of money now, and plans to grab a little site to generate income. So Captain, how are you going to help the Whitebeard pirates? Behind Vlad, the maid chuckled, help them fight the beasts and Charlotte Linlin. Hey, isn't this kind of help just right? Vlad smiled, if I don't do this, I will face pressure from 3 parties at the same time. Our reputation level with the beast pirates and the big mom pirates is hatred, so we can only help Whitebeard first. Is this the way for the pirates to go? Yeah, what a friendly act. After helping them, beat Kaido and Charlotte Linlin before taking their turf. Other man, Enel giggled, I like it. Okay, let's not say anything else. Vlad smiled, is it better to do the experiment now? Passo, can we start? Yeah. Passo nodded blankly. Then. Vlad smiled, Dedrag, send the stuff down. Hi yo. Above the sky, the door suddenly opened, and Dedrag's laughter was very clear. Whoosh. The moment the door opened, the 2 shadows fell directly downward, and in the blink of an eye, they were beyond the sight of everyone. Hey, just let me take a look. Vlad smiled, what kind of strength does this chimera to cost a lot of money? Well. Passo nodded, took out 2 phone bugs, pressed it lightly, and the black-eyed image had been projected onto the air. I'm looking forward to it too. Dash 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 dash. Ah, my head hurts. The burly big man sat up from the bed, and next to him was a beautiful girl, with bruises all over her body, tears in the corners of her eyes, and her body was cold. Ah, did you drink too much again? The man rubbed his head, looking a little annoyed. Really, did you drink all night last night? Those bastards, ha ha ha, but it was Lao Su who lasted till the end. Well. It seems that he noticed the vision of the woman beside him. The man raised his eyebrows and kicked his feet heavily, directly kicking the woman who had lost her voice and hitting the wall heavily. Really, when can I leave this place? The man stretched his waist and looked a little unhappy. When will Boss Kaido let us go to the front line too? Boom. Boom. After the 2 loud noises, the earth shook. Crash. There was a violent tremor in the house where the man was, and everything was shaking. What happened? What happened? The man was stunned for a moment, and before he could regain his senses, the house had collapsed suddenly, covering him in the rubble in an instant. Dash 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 dash. However, speaking of which, this is an altitude of 10,000 meters. The sky, Moria looked at the screen projected in front of her and asked, is it really good to just put it down like this? It's okay. Passo shook his head. Although this man doesn't usually like to talk to people, he is an exception when it comes to research. Chimera Type 2, which focuses on strengthening vitality. Really? Moria smiled and looked at the screen that was already lit up, and said, that's amazing. Command. Passo picked up another phone bug and whispered, destroy the pirates on the island. Dash 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 dash. Wow. The ruins exploded in an instant, and a naked man had already leaned out from the ruins. Damn, what happened? Captain, are you not dead yet? Not far away, there are 2 more deep depressions on the ground. The black hole can't see what is underneath. The dense and deep cracks spread from the 2 holes as the starting point. On the edge of the hole, a bald man is a little uncomfortable with a willing look. I thought you were dead, and I could finally be the captain. This kind of thing can never happen. Man, member of the Beast Pirates, captain of the Fangs Pirates, Fang Mike said casually. What's up with these two holes? Suddenly it fell from the sky. Following the bald man, a certain pirate laughed casually, scared us. Really, why didn't you just fall directly into the room where the captain was, and just smash the captain to death? The bald deputy captain said regretfully. Ha 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 ha, the vice captain's ambition has been exposed again, A certain pirate was laughing, but his laughter stopped abruptly. At the position of the chest, a sharp claw had passed through the chest, and blood spurted out. Chapter 575 The Power of the Experiment. Ah! The scream was only for a moment, and the scream came from the mouth of the pirate younger brother, which was the most miserable smile. What? The bald-headed vice-captain's face changed, and when he turned his head, he saw a gray-black thing extending from the bottomless big hole beside him. Damn, there's something in the hole. Bald Deputy Captain jumped back and landed directly next to Captain Mike, completely ignoring the other pirates beside the cave, with a terrified smile on his face. What the hell is this? An enemy. Flash away. Mike exclaimed that the co-captain was a bastard, but he had to be held accountable to the bastards on the ship. However, it seems to be too late. Scoff. Scoff. With two soft clicks, two black shadows jumped out of the two holes at an extremely amazing speed, and it was impossible to see what it looked like. It was like black lightning passing through the crowd. Ah! The head of a certain pirate was directly detached from the neck, and the head that had not yet understood the situation could finally let out a scream. Ah! A certain pirate's stomach was directly cut open, and the disgusting organs and intestines flowed out directly. In a short period of time, he would not die. Such a punishment is simply terrible. My hand. A certain pirate only felt that the black light in front of his eyes flashed, and then, there was a sharp pain in the position of the shoulder. The right hand had been detached from the shoulder, and the blood was flying in the air. Ah! In the same situation, the pirates whose thighs were cut off instantly fell to the ground. When they saw their empty thighs, the pain was not passed on. What the hell is this? Mike's complexion was as gloomy as water. With his strength, he could only understand the black shadows flickering in the crowd. His subordinates were like weeds facing a lawnmower, falling down weakly one by one. Hey! Then, in an instant, the man's heart was alarmed, and a black shadow rushed towards him, so fast that his eyes could not see clearly. However, as a big pirate sailing in the New World, you don't need to see what your eyes can't see. Observation hockey starts instantly. When Armament's fist, which was covered with pitch black, slammed heavily on the shadow, and two terrifying forces bombarded together. The powerful shock wave instantly formed a wind and rolled up the surrounding dust. Hey! Mike Dang Dang took 3 steps back, with a very horrified and solemn expression on his face. This guy, such a big power. D-quadruple-A. On the surface of Mike's water, the attacker finally revealed his true colors. The gray-black body was not too big, just like a wolf dog, but it looked far more terrifying than ordinary wolf dogs. The gray-black color, if you look closely, you can find that this guy is covered with a layer of sparse gray hair. The gray in the gray-black color comes from this, and the black part is that this layer of gray hair it grows on a layer of black scales. It is very strange. There are scales on the body, but there are hairs. The 6 seemingly short but absolutely sturdy legs endow it with super mobility. The slender tail is constantly swaying, and the sharp bulge that glitters on it tells others what a terrifying weapon it is. On the back, the 4 wings-like things extend very long. They have neither feathers like birds nor membranes like bats. Instead, they are like bones, very long and long, with serrated protrusions that are more like blade-like wings. The position of the head is the most peculiar, like the head of a dinosaur. The 6 eyes scan around, flashing a strange red light, and there is absolutely no blind spot in the line of sight. Bloodshot, as if he just ate something. The tongue sticks out of the mouth and wiggles gently. What is this? Mike's face was gloomy. And, Jesse, what are you doing? Are you just watching your subordinates die? The bald-headed vice captain who was standing aside said a little scaredly, "I'm so scared. Captain, this monster is too scary." Beside him, the pirates have already fallen. Except for the captain and the deputy captain, there are no pirates here. Such power. Vice Captain Jesse looked gloomy. Gii. In front of him, another monster made a slight noise, as if hesitating. Well. Mike's body slammed to the side, and a black shadow had flashed past him, leaving a wound on his chest, blood seeping out from it. So fast. Mike was startled, faster than before. Were you joking? When? With a loud bang, the long sword in Jess's hand had slashed heavily on the monster in front of him. What? His eyes widened suddenly, and the long sword wrapped around the pitch-black hockey was actually used by the monster, and he easily blocked his slash with the four knife-like wings behind him. It's tough. Jesse was startled. What is this? Scoff. Almost in an instant, the monster's attack had arrived. Jesse tilted his head sharply, and a thick spear-like thing had brushed past his ear. Jesse was covered in cold sweat. If she was hit directly, her head would be pierced, right? That's the tongue. The red spear-like thing extended from the monster's mouth, and it was indeed the monster's tongue. Gia. The monster looked very excited, and a strange cry came from his mouth. The tongue that was extremely hard just a moment ago had been rolled back, and it had been tied around Jess's neck like a rope. What? Jesse only had time to be surprised. Jaa. A huge pulling force was generated at the neck, and Jess's body couldn't help staggering. At the same time, the force was mutual, and the monster was also pulled over and plunged directly into Jess's arms. Ding! With a soft sound, the sharp blade had already pressed against the monster's stomach. Hee hee. Jesse smiled, the blade in his hand raised, and armament hockey covered it. Give me through. Bah! Mars radiates. What? Actually, can't penetrate the scales. Jesse growled. Then, the monster rolled over, and its big mouth had already bitten on Jess's head, like a hydraulic press pressing a watermelon. PFF'd. Damn, Jesse. Mike, who was beside him, let out a roar when he saw the miserable state of his deputy, not because of his companion's death, but because he had noticed that another monster was chewing, and one eye was staring at him. Gia, quote. Hey. With a soft sound, a whip-like thing ripped through the air, and blasted towards him like an indestructible slash. Damn. Mike didn't have time to think about it, his arms wrapped around his chest, the black armament hockey covering it. Ding. PFF'd. Hockey was covered, the monster's tail-swept attack was still a bit overwhelming for Mike. Gia. Suddenly, a very sharp scream came from behind again, and Mike was startled. Whoosh whoosh. Four soft sounds, Mike's observation hockey has noticed, and behind him, four extremely sharp slashes have been slashed towards his back. Cut. Mike's face darkened. Ding 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 ding, quote. Four consecutive crisp sounds. Behind Mike, the four wings on the monster's back have been directly bounced off by the armament covering Mike's back, but the attack did not end there. It turned into four slashes and slashed towards Mike. Damn. Mike roared and jumped, his body had already jumped into the air, and he looked down at the two monsters below. What is this? Chi-chi. Mike could finish sighing. With two soft clicks, two monsters appeared beside Mike again. Quote. So fast. Mike had no extra thoughts. At the same time that he caught the huge mouth and tail of a monster in front of him, his chest had been penetrated by the four wings of another monster. Blood poured from Mike's mouth. Damn it. He roared, and let go of his right hand that was holding the monster's tail. The jet-black armament hockey covered his right hand, and a powerful punch was about to hit the monster's head. Click. The monster's mouth slammed open, its tongue sank, and a deep tube was exposed. Wah. View. Chapter 576 Big Vortex Spider. The huge island cuts through the sky, obviously without any power, but with the ability of the strange devil fruit. it is still possible to easily lift a huge island into the sky, and even drift around in the sky. This world is so magical. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Blue blue blue. Quote. Vlad lay leisurely on a reclining chair in a courtyard of a terrifying galleon, with a small table in front of him, a stack of cakes and a cup of iced drink on it. He was enjoying afternoon tea leisurely at the same time. He held a phone bug in his hand and dialed it out. Click. Vlad. It didn't take long for him to wait, and the other side of the phone was already connected. Where did the deep man's voice come from? It's me. Vlad said lazily. Ha, the man who is considered by everyone in the sea to be the new emperor at the same time, Lord Vlad actually still calls me. The man over there, the man named Tessero, spoke with some playfulness. Yeah, that's right. The announcement of the chariots and horses immediately after the war has nothing to do with me. Vlad smiled. Tessero, you are so cruel. Aren't we close friends? Don't be silly, Vlad. Tessero replied, my best friend is only going. Woo ha ha ha, as expected of you, Emperor going, that's how it works. Vlad laughed. So, Lord Tessero, has the government come to trouble you? Although there are a lot of flies, the government can't take care of itself now. How can I get the energy to take care of me? And besides, I'm not without a backer. Tessero said in a deep voice, thanks to the new Sea Emperor, Lord Vlad, the government is not very jealous of you. I am your partner, and there is a government spy like Stussy lurking around. Of course, the government will not be so easy. I'm going to do it to me, unless it's time to get rid of the dragon pirates. Of course, business will still be affected, and Tenryubito won't have the same influence as before. That's good, now we don't need Tenryubito's power. You're fine. Vlad nodded, I'd feel very lonely without you. Ha, don't think about it, Vlad, my only love is Stella. Tessero smiled. You're disgusting, Tessero, it's time to wash your mind. Vlad said lazily, so, do me a favor and tell me where that guy Marco is. Marco. Phoenix Marco. Tessero seems to have long expected what Vlad would ask. What? Is this going to attack the Whitebeard pirates? That's right, the new emperor's ascendance is of course accompanied by the end of the previous emperor. However, if you want to do it, you'd better hurry up, now that the Beast Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates are both fighting against the Whitebeard Pirates at the same time. You don't have much time. Who said I was going to attack the Whitebeard Pirates? Vlad grinned. I wanted to help them. Huh. Tessero was a little confused. Never mind, tell me. Tessero. Vlad asked, where the hell is that guy Marco? Well, although I don't know what you're thinking, I don't know the location of the Phoenix. They are fighting 4 emperors at the same time. How can they be intercepted so easily? Tessero said casually, I do know the location of a guy who probably knows Marco's whereabouts, though. Really? Vlad smiled, that's alright, it's okay to put in a little effort. Hurry up, Vlad, I can't wait. Location is the New World, the sea area under the jurisdiction of the Whitebeard Pirates. The originally quiet and peaceful sea area is now a battlefield. Damn guys, what have you done to this island? With such a roar, the man with a spider-like tattoo on his forehead waved the huge blade in his hand, and the ferocious group of pirates in front of him instantly bleed, and his body could only be blown away weakly. His name is Skeward, nicknamed the Big Vortex Spider, and he is still wrapped in bandages, which are scars from the war on the top. Ha 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 ha. What are you annoyed about? A huge figure fell from the sky, and the fat man held a huge mace full of spikes and smashed it directly at Squard. Cut. The Big Vortex Spider's expression changed, and the long knife in his hand went up, blocking his face. When? Hey ha 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 ha, Skeward, I heard that you betrayed Whitebeard in the top war. Why are you fighting for the Whitebeard pirates now? The fat man twisted suddenly, and the huge mace in his hand made a perfect arc in the air, smashing it towards Squard's body. When? The huge mace slammed heavily on the oddly long sword, and the huge vortex spider was instantly blown away by the huge force. Damn! Skeward fell heavily to the ground, and his body was aching, as the injury at that time okay. Ha ha ha, so ugly, Skeward, you bastard. Without stopping for a moment, the fat man strode forward, the mace in his hand wrapped in a layer of hockey, and smashed towards Skeward, who fell on the ground like a mountain-topped. I don't know what I'm doing at all. Is it okay to betray honestly if you've already betrayed? Cut. A very disrespectful tumbling, a big vortex spider rolling around a lazy donkey, dodging the attack of the fat man, the huge mace bombarded the ground heavily, and a huge pothole suddenly appeared. I won't deny past mistakes, so now. Skeward roared, jumped up, pulled out another normal-sized knife from his waist, and rushed towards the fat man with far more agility than before. I'm fighting as my dad's son. PFF'd. The long knife stabbed directly into the belly of the fat man, facing the opponent's unbelievable eyes and whispering, a guy like you won't understand. Like you can only take advantage of the death of your father, Marco and the others are busy. The guy who dared to attack civilians when he was dealing with Kaido and Charlotte Linlin. How can I understand the greatness of my father? Hey! With a scream, the fat man fell to the ground, and his vitality was rapidly dying. Hoo-hoo! Damn! Squard gasped heavily, as the injury still too serious before. However, he turned his head, looked at the two sides fighting on the island, and the island with thick smoke, gritted his teeth and said, this is the treasure that Dad wants to protect, how can you hurt it? Yeah, really, you're not worthless, Spider. In his eyes, a fiery red figure descended from the sky. Chapter 577 Phoenix. The battle is over. Even if the captain has already defeated the opponent, it will take a lot of time to defeat this group of crazy pirates. Skeward understands this very well, but the man in front of him appears. The battle was over in an instant. You guys are. Squard's eyes widened, watching him suddenly appear in front of him, and after saying hello to himself, Conqueror Haki burst out, and in the blink of an eye, most of the pirates who were still fighting were lost. Consciousness is just a sentence. The battle is over. If you want to say why, because I'm already here, if there are any guys who want to continue fighting, then stand up and let me be your opponent. With just such a word, the battle is over. Skeward clearly saw that the pirates who were unscrupulous because of the crisis of the Whitebeard pirates, after the man's words blurted out, shivered and dropped their weapons, and could no longer lift a trace. His fighting spirit, all his courage ended the moment this man appeared. Why are you here? This guy is. Fire Dragon Vlad. Monster with a bounty of 1.8 billion. The new Emperor of the Sea. Why did he appear here? Stop it. This guy is definitely not something we can contend with. If you don't want to die, stop it. ... It is really amazing power, and Skeward's heart is bitter. This kind of treatment, of course, was standard for the Whitebeard pirates in the past, but now it is different. Yo, Spider, haven't you seen it for a while? Vlad gently landed on the ground and regained his human form, completely ignoring the trembling pirates around him, smiling, I thought you were dead. Ah, what a fate. It was really fatal. This guy named Skeward was kicked away by Vlad when he was fighting on top of it, and he was directly smashed on the surrounding wall, and was burned by Vlad's flame. After burning for a period of time, it was a great fate to actually be able to return from the top battlefield in which the war was raging. Fire Dragon. Skeward firmly held the hilt of the sword in his hand, his face extremely gloomy. Why are you here? Why? Vlad smiled, I came to you on purpose. Looking for me? The big vortex spider looked a little surprised. Yeah, I came to you on purpose. Vlad smiled, I'm here to ask you for directions. Ask for directions. Squard's vigilance remained undiminished. What the hell do you mean? What do you mean? Well, it's not interesting. Vlad smiled. What's the point? I just wanted to ask you, where is Marco the Phoenix? What? The big vortex spider stared. Marco. Or rather, Vlad said softly, where are the officers of the Whitebeard pirates? I have something to look for. Don't even think about it. Spider said angrily, don't think that you can really defeat the Whitebeard pirates if you can become the new emperor. Hey, what are you misunderstanding? Vlad said helplessly, don't you understand what the Whitebeard pirates are really after? You. Squard couldn't figure out Vlad's way. Don't worry, think about it. If we start a war with the Whitebeard pirates, it will not benefit us at all. After all, there are still 4 emperors who are eyeing them. I'm not stupid. Isn't the thief group looking for death? Vlad spread his hands. I'm looking for Marco for cooperation. Cooperation? Squard wondered. Yes, cooperation. Vlad nodded. At a time like this, in the face of such a powerful enemy, shouldn't we cooperate? Well, The big vortex spider hesitated. Dash 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 dash. Who? No, it can't go on like this. Oh. The bonfire burns quietly, bringing light and warmth to the surrounding dark space. The atmosphere between the group of people sitting around the bonfire is a little low, and everyone's eyes are watching, with yellow hair with pineapple heads. The man's voice was a little low. Another island has been captured. There's no way to do that either. Next to it, there are 2 pockets on the chin, the skin is gray-black, and the man with a short stature said, our current combat strength is insufficient compared to the 2 sides, and we have to allocate some strength to deal with those who are because of the fathers. The mad dog who left and went mad, is still fighting on 2 fronts, and it is impossible to win. This is already the case on our side, and Vista's side is afraid. Brahmank, can't you say something nice, you bastard? The man with the upper body naked and wearing a hat said angrily, now is not the time to say dejected words, we must protect the treasure left by Dad even if we risk our lives. Ace, don't get excited. The round and short shark fish man said, everyone thinks this way. Stop talking nonsense, get ready. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, with bandages wrapped around his body, a man with a very serious face, the captain of the first team of the Whitebeard pirates, and now the elder brother of the Whitebeard pirates, the chief, Marco said, I lost an island during the day. We were pushed back here. Compared to our exhaustion from the repeated battles, those guys are still alive and well, the battle will start at any time. Don't let your guard down. Remember. Marco emphasized, my brothers, remember this, Dad's most precious treasure is you, my family, protect yourself is to protect Dad's most precious family. Even losing the position of the 4 emperors, even if there is no territory, even then, as long as you are still there, Dad will not feel sad, and the Whitebeard pirates will still be there. Quote. Understood. The surrounding officials of the Whitebeard pirates nodded sullenly. Everyone knew that it was different from the heroic outings of the past. Now the Whitebeard pirates are facing an unprecedented predicament. Without the existence of Whitebeard, the monsters of the New World have begun to show their claws toward them. At the same time, the 4 emperors fought. Even when Whitebeard was still there, it was an unspeakable pressure, let alone now. Whoosh. Boom. A sharp sound pierced the sky, and then, not far away, a huge explosion suddenly occurred. Here you come. Marco stood up. Enemy attack, enemy attack, enemy attack. Yes, the beast pirates. Woo. Marco breathed a sigh of relief and stepped forward, fight. Oh. Behind him, the officials of the Whitebeard pirates were arrogant. If you want to fight, come on. The heroes of the sea are never afraid of fighting. Chapter 578 Beasts x Whitebeard x Fire Dragon _ Hoo-hoo. A huge blue bird soared into the sky, overlooking the battlefield from above. The Whitebeard pirates and the beast pirates fought fiercely on this island, Jin and Jack. No. Marco thought, where's Quinn? Hey, Quinn. Scoff. With a soft sound, a black shadow appeared in front of Marco's, and the huge fist slammed directly towards Marco's head. Quinn's words went somewhere else, of course. The man named Jin, the head of the three plagues, the most trusted deputy of Kaido of the beasts, a man as powerful as a monster, said so. Hey, it's too close. Marco stared at the dead fish, lifted his right leg up, and slammed directly into Quinn's fist. Yeah, Tilda. Jin made a strange cry, and his body was blasted away, but at the same time, Marco was not feeling well. Jin's powerful strength also made him a little unsteady, and he swirled in the air. A fan, and finally stabilized the figure. It's troublesome, Marco's eyes looked in the other direction. It was behind the Whitebeard pirates. There was an island shrouded in darkness, but now, flames had begun to appear on the island. Did Quinn go over there? The battle here won't end in a short time, if you wait for that guy to come over. Marco is no longer the eldest son of the family who sailed under Whitebeard's wings. Now he is the parent of the Whitebeard pirates, a man who is depended on by everyone. No, it can't go on like this. Marco said so. Hey. With a pair of wings, his body has rushed to the side like a phantom. Hoo-hoo. Ace was breathing heavily, the opponent in front of him was really tough enough. Hey, is this not going to work? Laughing loudly, a tall figure descended from the sky, and his huge pillar-like right leg stomped heavily on the ground. Fortunately, the moment this guy stepped on the ground, Ace had turned into a flame, like a stream, flowing in the distance. However, before Ace could regain his human form, with a loud bang, the tall figure had rushed in front of him again, and the huge fist had already slammed towards him. Cut. Ace could no longer dodge, but that didn't mean that he could only stand and be beaten. His body suddenly spread out, and a huge hole appeared. A man named Jack, his huge fist slammed into the hole, and did not cause any damage to Ace at all. A trace of damage. What? Jack was a little confused, but time didn't wait for anyone. The flames condensed instantly, wrapped around Hockey, and the huge fist slammed heavily on Jack's face. Whoosh. The tall man was blasted out directly. Hoo-hoo. Ace's body condensed in place, sweat on his forehead. What a tough guy. Compared with other Logia fruits, Ace's flame is not weak, but for a tough opponent like Jack, his attack power is not enough to see. After all, Ace. The main attack method is fire, which is not universal with Hockey. What a soft fist. Fire fist. The tall figure jumped up from a distance, and instantly turned into a violent giant elephant, rushing towards this side. Cut. Ace's face sank, and flames began to spread on his body. Get out of the way. The blue flame bird descended from the sky at an astonishing speed. 1 second later, it was still in the sky, but 1 second later, his bird claws were heavily kicked on Jack's waist. Hey. Jack let out a pained cry, his body rolled on the ground like a wheel, and a strong impact was acting on him. This guy was completely unable to control his body and rolled in circles toward the distance. Marco. Ace looked at Marco in surprise as he rushed into the battlefield. Retreat, Ace. Marco said so. What, are you joking? Marco, the battle has just begun. Ace was a little confused. There's no time for nonsense. Ace, take someone out. Marco stopped talking nonsense, spread his wings, and flew in the other direction. Cut. Ace's face was slowly resentful, but he didn't mean to resist at all. Retreat. Whitebeard pirates, stop fighting, retreat towards the ship. Ace yelled. As for me. Fire fist. The raging flames were broken for the Whitebeard pirates. Dash 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 dash. Cut, did you just run away like this? Standing on the shore, looking at the big ship drifting away in the distance, Jack Drought said with a bit of annoyance, what a bunch of cowardly guys. Cowardly. Beside Jack, the equally tall man said strangely, I can't tell, hey, ha ha ha, Marco the Phoenix. It's a bit tricky. Dash 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 dash. Marco, why? On the big ship, Ace leaned on the side of the ship and said solemnly, the battle has just begun. No, the battle was lost from the start. Standing at the stern, looking at the island that was getting farther and farther away, Marco said, it's hard for us to deal with Jin and Jack alone. If we wait for that guy Quinn to bring the fleet from behind to complete the encirclement, we will only be able to deal with it. It's hard to run, You still remember the battle during the day, right? Those 3 guys are all as strong as monsters. Quote. But Ace was a little depressed, just run away like this. Understand, Ace. Bramank, the captain of the 6th Division, said softly, Marco is also very unwilling. But we are now divided into 2 groups, and the strength in our hands is far worse than the beast fleet commanded by those 3 guys. Quote. I know. Ace nodded sullenly. Of course, he knew that it was a very risky thing for his partners to bet everything to protect the original territory. After all, facing 2 4 emperors at the same time, even the Whitebeard pirates would not be able to do so. What are the odds of winning? Everyone just wanted to do something because they didn't want to see the land that originally belonged to Dad being occupied like this. Click. When the group of Whitebeard pirates was low, a door suddenly opened in the air, and inside the door, some green space was exposed. Oh, I finally found it. It took me a lot of time. The voice of a very familiar man reached the ears of the Whitebeard pirates. It's been a while, really. From the door above the sky, a man stepped out, everyone of the Whitebeard pirates. You guys are. Marco frowned, Fire Dragon. Chapter 579 Talks. It was late at night, and the dark night sky seemed to be as deep as it wanted to devour everything. The sky was full of dense dark clouds. No one knew that an amazing storm was coming soon. However, above the gloomy and dark clouds, the bright moon is in the sky. The stars are dense, a huge island floats quietly under the sky, and there are dark clouds below, even the dark clouds that can destroy the world, but they can't shake the island. A shred of it. What a terrifying ability. On the huge island, in a spacious banquet hall, there is no banquet at the moment, the atmosphere is a bit depressing, the man with the yellow pineapple head is sitting on the chair, behind him, is following him here. A line of defense against the partners of the Whitebeard pirates of the Beast's pirates. On the opposite side of the wide table, there is also a chair, wearing a white shirt, bare chest, revealing a strong chest. The man leaned on the chair leisurely, with a leisurely smile on his face. Of course this man only it could be Vlad, and the one standing behind him is naturally a group of people from the Fire Dragon pirates plus Gecko Moria. In terms of momentum, it is still far above the half of the Whitebeard pirates in front of him. This is the fluttering fruit of the Golden Lion. Marco whispered, staring at Vlad with dead fish eyes, how the hell did you do it? The ability to take fruit. Hey, sorry. Vlad's eyes narrowed, this is a team secret, no comment. Really, that doesn't matter, just. Marco's eyes narrowed, Fire Dragon, what's your purpose? If you want to go to war, then we will accompany you at any time. Yeah, ha ha ha, it's really arrogant. Behind Vlad's back, Enel leaned out halfway and laughed, how dare you be so arrogant in our territory? Hey, Captain, just kill them here. Do you want to fight? Behind Marco, Ace twisted his neck and smiled, hey, stay with me to the end. Although it was the benefactor who rescued his group from the top war, since the conflict between the 2 pirate groups has been involved, then the kindness can only be placed second. Oh, captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard pirates. Enel sneered, Fire Fist Ace, the one who burns the fruit. Hey, let's try it out then. Calm down, God. Vlad waved his hand, don't get excited, the members of the Whitebeard pirates are not the enemy. Not the enemy. Be quiet, Ace. Marco said solemnly, whether to start a fight or not depends on the meaning of the other side. Of course, you're the captain, and of course I'll listen to you. Enel smiled, retracted his body, and glanced unscrupulously at the group of Whitebeard pirates opposite him. It was a little joking. Enel knew very well that the guys on the opposite side were not destined to be their friends, even if they were a short-term ally, but an adversary in the end. Enel knows that. So, Fire Dragon. Marco didn't care about Enel's provocative eyes. After working in the New World for decades, he had never seen any kind of person, and he didn't know how much he had seen much more arrogant than Enel. What's your purpose? Purpose. Vlad smiled. Very simple purpose. Let's make an alliance. Marco. Alliance. Marco frowned. What do you mean? It literally means. Vlad spread his hands and said casually, our Fire Dragon pirates are allied with you Whitebeard pirates. Why? Marco said solemnly. Why do you think like that? Isn't it obvious? Vlad smiled. In the face of endless flies, you have to deal with 2-4 Emperor pirates at the same time. Isn't it a lot of pressure? Before those two monsters took action in person, you are already stretched thin and unable to resist. I know very well. After all, I used to be a member of that Big Mom pirate group. I know my brothers and sisters' fighting power very well, although Katakuri brothers' strength may be a little weaker than Marco's, but it's definitely not Vista. Can you resist? Not to mention Sister Simuji and Brother Cracker, the defense line on that side is probably even more broken, right? Quote. At least it's a little bit worse than this. After all, that guy Jin is beyond my expectations and rationality. He has been avoiding full-scale conflict with you, and is just constantly driving you away, but, Mr. Marco, you are very clear. Right. Vlad smiled. It won't be long before the 2-4 Emperor pirates advance layer by layer. What will your ending be like? This has nothing to do with you, right? Marco thought for a while and replied, this is our own business of the Whitebeard pirates. No, it's not your business. Vlad smiled and said, this is also a matter of our Fire Dragon pirates. After all, if we don't join forces with you, we will be in trouble. Trouble? Ace behind Marco looked surprised. What's the trouble? Oh, Mr. Ace. Vlad smiled. Long time no see. I didn't have time to catch up last time at the top. Just like you said that day, I'm really famous now. Who cares about this? It's negotiating now. Can you be serious? What do you mean by trouble? Ace's mouth twitched. Well, what do you think? Vlad said casually, we are a pirate group that has entered the New World. We don't have our own territory. This is very annoying. As pirates who are considered to be the new emperor, we can't just be a wandering pirate. Besides, I am also very short of money right now. We, the Fire Dragon pirates, need a territory in the New World. Quote. So, your target is us. Marco pondered. Bingo, this is it. Vlad snapped his fingers and said with a smile, that's it. Although it sounds a little embarrassing to say, bullying the soft and fearing the hard or something sounds like a hero, but it's still too early to start a war with the other 4 emperors. Is it just you? What? Is this guy's purpose really us? Then let's fight. ... Calm down. Marco clapped his hands on the table and said loudly, quiet, Fire Dragon, what the hell are you thinking? You guy, isn't your brain normal? Yes, would any normal person want to ally with someone they are about to attack? He is still telling all his plans while forming an alliance. Is this guy a lunatic? Well, because if I don't form an alliance with you and join the turf hegemony directly, I will soon face Kaido and Charlotte Linlin, and I will add you. Yay, isn't it stupid? Vlad smiled. We're not that good. So what you mean is that the two of us will form an alliance first, and then jointly deal with the beasts and Big Mom, and wait until they are defeated. If such a situation occurs, then our alliance will be voided immediately. Marco said, you're going to point your guns at us right away. Yes, that's what it means. Vlad smiled. How? It's a great idea, isn't it? Fire Dragon. Marco stood up, with a lazy look on his face. You rescued us once from the top, we are very grateful, but if you fooled us like fools, you would be self-righteous, right? No, I said long ago that there was no kindness in the beginning. Vlad waved his hand. It's just a deal. A deal with Senior Whitebeard. Deal. Marco frowned. Yeah, deal, yes. Vlad's eyes lit up. Do you want to see what Senior Whitebeard gave me? What can let me save you? Chapter 580 Raid the Big Mom Pirates. Oh, goodbye, Mr. Marco. The position near the sea, the huge pirate ship floats near the sea, and the blue sea is not far below. Vlad sits cross-legged on the bow, watching the pirate ship drifting away in the distance, laughing out loud. The beasts will be handed over to you. Ah ha ha ha, happy cooperation. Vlad was very happy. Of course, the covenant he advocated between the Fire Dragon Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates has been finalized. Both parties will remain allies until they defeat the Beast Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates. Relation. Of course, this kind of alliance will only last until the two sides join hands to defeat the Beast Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates. After that, the two sides became rivals. After all, Vlad also came to the original site of the Whitebeard Pirates. Of course, the friends of the Whitebeard Pirates would not just watch the legacy left by Whitebeard. Being occupied, fighting is a matter of course. Captain, I'm a little worried. Behind Vlad, the chef said worriedly, can the Whitebeard Pirates stop the Beast Pirates? The Whitebeard Pirates without Whitebeard, of course, would have no problem if it was just 3 disasters, but if that monster shoots, Marco can't stop that monster. Don't worry, don't worry. Whitebeard pirate ship that had begun to gradually disappear into the sky, they will fight their lives, even if they can't stop Kaido. It doesn't matter, we will take over the territory taken by the Beast Pirates. Don't worry about the ones that are snatched back, as long as they can drag us and the Big Mom Pirates to the end of the game. So, even with all their strength, it's impossible for them to defeat the Beast Pirates, that's a matter of course. Sitting on the side of the boat smoking a cigarette, the maid said, the key to victory and defeat lies with us and the Big Mom Pirates. It's a tough fight. Leaning on the cabin, Luo, the doctor of the Fire Dragon Pirates, opened his mouth and said, Captain, is there really a chance of winning the battle with the 4 emperors now? No need to win. Vlad shook his head, you just need to fight back. The other 4 emperors are difficult to deal with. But, Charlotte Linlin, the old woman, don't have too obvious weaknesses, not to mention defeating her, it is very easy to defeat her. The old woman is not on the front line now, and the 3 generals have a small number of cadres. At least, this raid is foolproof. Then no problem, yeah ha 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 ha. The man who started to have electric sparks on his body laughed loudly, I couldn't expect it for a long time. But that's mean, Captain. The beautiful Miss Musician smiled, threatening people with something like that. How can that be called a threat? Vlad smiled, that's what people are willing to do. That's the relic of the old man. Isn't that despicable, really shameless enough? The samurai with the dead fish eyes sat cross-legged on the deck wiping his sword, and slandered in his heart, as expected of my captain, such a vile thing can really be said with such righteousness and dignity. Ahaha, okay, let's stop chatting, let's go. Vlad spread his hands and embraced the sky, go and have a pleasant exchange with the Big Mom Pirates. The big ship soared into the sky and flew towards the huge island in the sky. Next, the Fire Dragon Pirates clashed with the 4 emperors for the first time. Dash 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 dash. What a mean fellow. Riding on the pirate ship in the sea, Fishman with a shark face said indignantly, actually. Don't get excited, Muir. Marco, who was standing on the side of the ship with his arms crossed, said without turning his head, we don't have a choice. How on earth did the fire dragon do it? Brahmank said in surprise, why is Dad's shaking fruit in his hands? Obviously, this ability should disappear with Dad's death. There's no doubt that that guy has the ability to grab the devil fruit, what a terrible guy. Marco said solemnly, the guys behind him are also powerful people like a group of monsters, the Fire Dragon Pirates, maybe they can really repel the Big Mom Pirates. It's pointless to think too much now. What we have to do now is to try our best to hold back the beast pirates, at least until the fire dragon repels Charlotte Linlin. This is not an easy task. Marco sighed. If Vista is also called over, our strength will have no disadvantage compared to the fleet of beasts led by the three calamities, so, that guy Kaido. Maybe he will join the war too. If you don't want to, you can do it. It's better to face 100 beast pirates than to face 4 emperors at the same time. Ace said loudly, although Fire Dragon's motives are not good, our pressure is indeed much less now, and there is even a possibility to get the Junjun fruit back. From this point of view, the Fire Dragon guy is not bad. Well, don't care about anything else. Marco nodded. Father's relic, Junjun fruit, be sure to get it. That is to say. Brahmank smiled. Even if Kaido is defeated, will we still have to face the dragon pirates? Ha ha ha, what a series of terrifying battles. Hey, let's fight then. Ace smiled. Are we still afraid of fighting? We are. Whitebeard pirates. As always, the Whitebeard pirates are fearless. The goal is that the 100 beast pirates are really fighting, and they are about to break out. Dash 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 dash. Well, what's going on? On a certain island, a man with a long tongue stood on a high cliff, looking a little surprised. No resistance. What are the guys from the Whitebeard pirates doing? Whitebeard pirates every time I landed on an island before. This time, after landing on this island, I did not encounter even a single enemy, and the island was occupied very smoothly. Somewhat confused for Charlotte Parasparrow's man. Blue blue blue. Quote. At this time, it was very abrupt, and the phone bug on the waist suddenly rang. Click. Parasparrow picked up the phone. Hello. It's me, Parasparrow. Brother Paros, something is wrong. The other end of the phone, a low female voice rang. No resistance at all. Did the Whitebeard pirates give up resistance? Impossible, the Whitebeard pirates are not opponents of that level. Behind Parasparrow, a man's low voice came. Wait and see, something must happen. Katakuri. Parasparrow turned his head. Be careful, Parogo. Katakuri sullenly said. I have a bad feeling. Boom. Something suddenly fell from the sky.